Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate applying my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Hello and welcome to the Titan Esports Winter 2025 Vanquisher League Week 2. I'm Mojo Powell, joined again by my friend Leslie. Leslie, how you feeling?
Great. I am so excited. We had a great couple of games last week, and I'm very, very excited to get into Group B here for the match between Elysian Esports and AFK Legion, both the number 3 and 4 seeds, respectively.
Yeah, it should be some bangers here. Both of these teams winning last week in 2-1 victories, so close-fought victories, and sitting about even according to power rankings and content published up until this point. This should be a fairly close and exciting match. So what kind of thing are we looking for here?
Well, I think the cool thing to watch for these teams is that both teams have a very strong bot lane and a very strong jungle. So we're kind of really pitting, Chill Savior and Peekaboo against each other, and then the bot lanes of Walt and Savior and Young Adrian and Q. So it's going to be very exciting to see those matchups specifically.
And we just have to hope that having strong junglers means maybe it's not tank junglers every game, right? I know they both played some Xin Zhao, some J4. We have a Trundle player if it somehow sneaks through the draft, right? So things like that could be exciting. But I think this is a big week in terms of like setting the tone for the rest of the season, right? Whoever comes out on top of a close victory like this, like really elevates themselves in the rankings.
Well, absolutely. And you got to think about momentum and confidence, right? Being able to go up 2-0 as the season starts, especially when you had such a close game in week 1, it's going to be a great way to kind of push through and see if you can carry that into weeks 3, 4, 5. So no, I'm very, very excited. I think it'll be very interesting to see, Elysian has been some flexing around with Seraphine, which is a champ that I really, really like. And the fact that you can kind of flex it around and move it around into 3 roles, I really like that idea of draft. Walt does tend to play or have in his pocket, some of those utility type 80 carries. So it'll be really great to see what they can do and how creative they can be in draft. And then, of course, something really cool to point out, Walt actually last week on Corki did have a 3v5 pentakill. So, of course, when his team needs to, they can definitely he can definitely put him on their back.
And if you haven't seen that pentakill, go hop over to the Vanquisher League content channel in the Discord. It's pretty awesome. It's like, it says 3v5 penta. That's a 1v5 penta. I just want to say he's kiting back against 5 members. His whole team's dead. It's pretty awesome to watch. We'll see if he can repeat that this week as we are getting into draft. Looks like we have Elysian on the blue side, AFK on red side, starting with a Rek'Sai and a Skarner ban. Skarner ban makes a lot of sense. 100% win rate in week 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me, those sides are swapped. AFK is on blue side, Elysian is on red.
Gotcha. So with that, we see Skarner being taken out here, and that B1 option is A. What are you going to look for? What would you like to see out of them? Now that Skarner's gone, what do you think that next priority pick is going to be?
Yeah, well, it does seem like the jungle pools are being pinched. The Seraphine banned. We wanted to see it. Maybe we'll have to wait till game 2 or 3. The jungle pool's a little pinched. Both players play J4. There's the Trundle pickup that we know we like for Peekaboo, so things like that. I think if I'm AFK, though, I'm looking towards something like Hui. Hui, 6 games picked last week, 100% win rate alongside Skarner. But there it is, Corki, also a prio pick for these 2 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. We have seen Corki kind of pick up quite a bit in that 80 carry role, but it does have some ability to flex to mid, so I do like that out of a B1 pick, that flexibility. We do notice that Trundle is currently open, so maybe that's something we'll get to see as we have the Varus locked in for Young Adrian right now, seeing what they'll get here on R2.
Yeah, I think nowadays the assumption is that Corki is going to end up in the bot lane, but it can be flex mid. I guess if you're not liking the matchup, if you're not liking your damage spread. Wukong now picked up for Peekaboo as well. I think Wukong Varus is a pretty strong start. We're looking for some early pushing lanes with Varus. Wukong looking to fight around 6. Victor now presumably for MLG Pro on AFK. This is about as standard a draft as you can get so far in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. And, everybody thought Victor's priority would kind of go down with the nerfs in 15-2, but he is holding strong. His early laning prowess has kind of been taken down a notch, but he's still very strong in that role. With looks like we do have Volibear locked in for AFK. Could be Chill Savior. I do know that Franco as well has been known to play some Volibear, so we could see a little bit of a flex. Yeah,
it's interesting. This Sion as well. Sion, we're going to assume, is probably in the top lane for Duango, but actually MLG Pro and AFK played Sion mid in their series last week. So it's a bit of potential tank flexing here, but so far it looks like we're just picking sort of down the list in prior picks. Tom Kench banned out by Elysian, Braum banned out by AFK. We're really pinching the engaged support pool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you talk about, the power that both of these bot lanes can kind of bring to their teams, eliminating some of those powerful and priority picks in the bot lane is really kind of the way to go. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do. And if that Sion is going to be topside, Are they going to leave that counter pick for? Oh, we have a Singe locked in. This leads me to believe that we could, as you said, see that Scion mid one more time this week. So that's very interesting. Going to give that counter pick potentially to R5. But we have Tryndamere locked in on the top side. They are getting very, very creative in this game number 1 of Fearless Draft today.
Yeah, it turns out it doesn't take Fearless to get spicy with the picks. Like, this is game 1. Fearless doesn't matter yet. Rel picked up. Absolutely. I was actually just thinking about Rel. I was wondering, it seems like the next engage support down the list after something like Leona. So AFK's team comp, I'm assuming this means it's going to be Volibear jungle, Tryndamere top for DeFranco. Yeah, and there it is.
There's the way. So what are we seeing for, maybe this is going to be a Scion support looking in the bot side here?
It could be.
I can't imagine Singe support is going to see a ton of value here. So,
Hwei support. It looks like
Hwei support. Okay.
Wow.
I do see that. There's obviously a lot of utility and zone control that you can create with Hwei, and I do tend to like that. However, I do say that I would prefer Hwei in the mid lane. The AP and the leveling that you can get compared to support is just going to bring a ton more value.
Yeah, I would as well. I think the benefit you get here is like probably a pretty hard pushing lane with the double ranged matchup, especially Varus, already a hard pushing AD carry, pushes for prio in the early levels. Hwei will be able to help him with that, right? Early Qs and Es and the mana sustain. Like, I think it could be a fairly oppressive lane. We'll have to see how the Singed into Tryndamere matchup goes, though. That's a chase down sort of slugfest up there.
Well, absolutely. But something I do want to point out with Scion mid, I don't know if this was planned beforehand or if they made a swap, but they're actually going to put Victor in the bot lane potentially here with Rel, which could be very interesting. I can't say the Victor Scion matchup. You kind of get to a point where Victor doesn't do a ton of damage to Scion there. So it'll be very interesting to see actually which bot lane matchup we're going to have.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Walt gets a pentakill on Corki, and all of a sudden they've kicked him off it. They're not going to let him play it. But here we go. We're getting into game 1 of our week 2 best of 3 between Elysian Esports and AFK Exiled. Seeing which team can break out to a 2-0 start to the season would be a huge win for either team here. As we'll see what our lane setups look like. I think fairly standard, as far as standard as this draft can get with the Scion mid, Victor bot.
Well, and absolutely, kind of like we said, confirmed here. Young Adrian actually on this Victor bot lane here. So we are going to see Victor Rel versus Varus Hwei. Definitely going to be an interesting matchup that we can kind of pay attention to. But like you said, the Varus Hwei should have good priority, double ranged. Looks like a little bit of a scuffle here. Just kind of testing each other out. Nothing crazy.
Oh, flashing a high mastery on that Tryndamere there. Mastery 81 for Dwango and Tryndamere. I did think I saw on his OPGG that he does play a lot of Tryndamere. I must admit, I don't know how this early matchup should go. I would imagine that Tryndamere can get the push into Singed, and as far once it's level 6, I mean, maybe Singed looks to proxy, but what do you think this matchup looks like?
No, I would definitely say, Singed doesn't have a lot of agency early on. And really it kind of is also going to depend a little bit on his build. I will say, a majority of the builds, when they get to Swifties mixed with the item that I'm blanking on right now, our slow mage item here.
Oh,
Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mixed with that, obviously he's going to have a little more opportunity to go through this lane and kind of kite Tryndamere out. But no, in the short term, definitely a very unfortunate matchup for Singe. Not a whole lot he can do. Tryndamere should have full control of this lane as it goes on.
Yeah, that trade not looking fun. Something I'm interested too is what this Wukong is looking to do, right? Because this Scion and Singe don't really seem like lanes that we're looking to gank. Like, I don't think we're catching Tryndamere or Corki in a side lane or off a gank setup. As looks like a pause. I believe Dwango has disconnected for a second. So we will go into pause. But like I was saying, I think Wukong, a champion that wants to gank level 6, right? Wants to power farm early, hit that power spike, and then look to gank. And the only lane that I think is really possible here is going to be the bot lane.
No, I would agree with you. And I think, as you can see, both junglers starting on the top side and then pathing down towards their respective bot lanes really kind of leans into what we said in draft, is that, these teams, their bot lanes are both two, central pieces of their strategy and kind of the carriers of the team, so they're really going to look to play around both of those those bot lanes and see where they can get an advantage. Something to note here is that, of course, Peekaboo is already out to a little bit of a tempo lead, already on his Raptors, while Chill Savior is still traveling across into his bot side jungle.
Yeah, that's just kind of Volibear gaming right there, I think. I mean, Volibear's clear speed, especially in the early levels with the passive and the E, like, it's real fast. And Wukong's picks up, but starts maybe a little slower than Volley's. So I think this makes sense. But both bot laners should be down around the crab at the same time. But I'm looking at this bot lane matchup, and I just think that Hwei Varus is going to be pushing them in so much that it might be hard for Peekaboo to really get in there. As we see confirmation here, yeah, it is a top disconnect from AFK.
Gotcha.
And we'll hope he can reconnect to this game quickly.
Well, absolutely. And something to note, it'll be interesting to see what strategy, our Elysian bot lane decides to go for. On this second wave, you can see they're already starting to hit that. So they could be trying to crash the second wave, get it to bounce, get themselves some protection from Peekaboo on his way down. I would definitely say that the early levels, Volibear is definitely going to have a distinct advantage over this Wukong. So they may be not interested in taking that 3v3 early on.
Sure.
Or maybe they'll continue the pressure and Wukong will look to cover and maybe they do want to take it. But I would be interested to see what decision they go for. Personally, I think bouncing the wave is probably going to be the safest way to do it. But at some point, you do want to take advantage of Victor in the early levels as an AD carry before he gets that lost chapter and kind of starts, being able to spam those abilities over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. But I think you're right. I think a dive is maybe not the angle we're looking for. As we see, we've run these comps through these drafts, through pro comps, and it's favoring AFK by a bit of a margin. Do we agree with that assessment?
I'll be honest. I think a big part of this is that top side is going to be so one-sided for quite a bit of the game with that Tryndamere into Singed. I think another part of it too is seeing where, what impact is Singed going to have on the side of Elysium. I think this is definitely an interesting pick. He's obviously going the tank route, but he's definitely matched up in the Corki versus the Victor. It doesn't give him the same advantages that he was going to have. So I would tend to agree, obviously, with pro comps. They have the data behind it, but they have great scaling in Corki and Victor. And then I think the big thing to really look out for as the game progresses is who's going to match this Tryndamere when we get 20, 25, 30 minutes into this game.
Well, and that's something I was thinking about too, is like side lanes later in the game. Like we have Scion and Singed, right, on Elysian, which are both fairly strong side lane pushers, like split pushers, and Tryndamere, Corki, and Victor. When you can pick Victor and flex it into the bot lane like this, you can kind of end up with like 3 potential side laners, right? It gets a little easier to rotate around the map in the later game, but I agree that Tryndamere split push is probably favored among all of those.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like our pause is going to take a little bit of time here. So we're going to come back and we can go ahead and talk about this draft a little more. It's going to be exciting. Obviously, I'm a big Volibear gamer myself, so I really like to see kind of the impact that you can have. Something cool I like to talk about is like Volibear has a plethora of different build paths that you can go. Right? There's the traditional Sundered Sky into Dead Man's Plate, kind of into full tank. You do have the, Rod of Ages, crit build, kind of attack speed crit build that you can go into tank. And then my personal favorite, you build Cosmic Drive into full tank. So it is going to be kind of interesting. Each build with their own strengths and weaknesses, but it's going to be kind of interesting to see what he'll go for versus, on the side of Wukong, definitely kind of a traditional Sundered Sky, Black Cleaver, or Trinity Force, Sundered Sky, Black Cleaver. I mean, not a lot of variation or creativity in that build compared to the Volibear.
Yeah, some assortment of the bruiser items. But I do think an interesting thing about that is when these junglers are going to be spiking, and I think looking at the side lane focus of potentially the late game, who's going to get these first grubs, right? I think that with such a side lane focus, I think prioritizing early grubs in those objectives when we're thinking about feats of strength, oftentimes one team will trade the first 3 grubs for the first dragon, but I'm wondering which team will get to those grubs first and be able to contest. I'm going to imagine it's probably AFK, as it looks like we are just about back into the game here. Seems like they've been unpaused and potentially there's some spectator delay going on, but should be back in very shortly.
Yeah, so when you talk about priority, I mean, Tryndamere is going to have that priority on the top side. And then when you do look, the Corki, is going to be able to maintain priority against that Scion for quite a while, especially during that first set of grubs. As Sion gets a little tankier and gets a couple of points in Q, we can definitely see his ability to kind of cut through those waves increase.
Sure.
But I would be very surprised if Elysian Esports gets to take this first set of grubs.
Yeah. I would agree. I think it'll probably go to AFK if that's what their prio is. I think pathing top to bot with the junglers like this, right? You're going to run back out on the map. Your top cans will be up. Grubs will then spawn, right? So it does seem potentially like they're looking for a grubs thing. As both junglers pathing down, making it about the same time as you said, Volibear. A little bit quicker than Wukong on this, but both farming up well. A bit of a CS lead growing in the bot lane for Walt, as is sort of expected in the pushing ranged versus half melee matchup, as we've got a bit of an engage down here. Peekaboo going in onto Walt. Walt stunned up by the rel. Q a little far in, crash down onto Walt, but he's totally fine. No, he's not, taking a little low, doesn't flash out in time. First blood over to Q on the rel. Skylar now having to flash out, stunned up on the Wukong. That's 2 kills over to AFK. MLG Pro trying to run out now. Explosive early start for AFK.
Well, yeah, and to think about that, just as we had discussed, the ability for Hot S'mores. Oh, they're going back in here with the crash down. Looks like Volibear's going to get the stun. Flash forward by Hot S'mores.
Flash. Oh, it's so punishing. He walks back up instead of recalling immediately, gets punished by the vision in the tri-brush.
Yeah, and that's going to be that first set of feats of strength going over to the side of AFK Legion. But like we talked about, Hot S'mores just able to get that priority, able to rotate ahead of MLG Pro and make that an easy 4v3 pickup for AFK Legion.
Yeah, and the issue with having bot prio like that is if you're pushing up too far in that way, and it's a 4v3, as you said, the mid prio for AFK, it's sort of gets a little, as young Adrian's killed Walt again down on the bot side. Oh, that's so tragic for the Varus, respawning, running back in the lane, or TPing back in the lane, excuse me, and dying again immediately. Now no TP, gonna lose this crashing cannon wave. This is a disaster for the bot lane of Elysian.
No, absolutely. This is going to be a huge acceleration for this Victor. Obviously, the goal that they're going to get, but of course, this looks like we may have something going on here. Looking at Wander.
Yeah, we're
Peekaboo going to get backed out. Absolutely. As you can see, the early power by Peekaboo, though, into that Wukong, definitely something we were discussing, Definitely not afraid to take this fight here. So we get
it seems like it is. Oh, Hot S'mores again, first on the roam. Chill Savior now chunked out low. Doesn't have the flash again from earlier. Wander Franco probably going to get out here. We don't want to chase a Singe, but another kill over to the Corki. 2-0 on Corki, 2-0 on Victor. This is where you want to be in the early game.
No, absolutely. Like we discussed, I mean, both carries getting an early acceleration. Credit to Hot S'mores really paying attention to the map, able to rotate. He made a really great Corki dash right out of that Sion Q. I mean, it's just great performance so far in this early game.
Yeah, he seems to have dropped a bit in terms of XP and a little bit of CS, but like for 2 kills, it's totally worth it for this level of map control, right? Realizing, okay, when I have prio, I can half push a wave, shove and move and sort of stop this Singe on the proxy. And the sooner you could stop his proxy farming, and like if you could shut him down early like that, Singe just kind of useless later in the game if he doesn't get to.
No, absolutely. You can see with those grubs being up, you can look at Peekaboo here, obviously trying to, we got a flash out of Adrian here, trying to get away from Walt, trying to get something back.
Yeah, oh, Q in from the bush, though. Mounts up onto Skylar. Skylar down. Walt trying to trade one back into young Adrian. Doesn't have vision of the bush, though. Misses the Q. Adrian trading getting so low, but Adrian on a killing spree. Walt and Skylar, the Breaking Bad bot lane, fallen again. But in the mid lane, Chill Saver and MLG Pro have found Hot S'mores. Maybe a trade for MLG Pro. No, Peekaboo's going to fall as well, potentially. Oh, diving just too far. Tower shot not ramped up enough to kill the Wukong. Might give the grubs over to Elysian a bit of a comeback.
No, absolutely. You see them kind of overchase there after Hot S'mores goes down. And this is actually a little surprising. You're just kind of the overextension, Hot S'mores rotating for that fight kind of in the river and then not being able to recall, being low on mana. You saw Peekaboo in the mid lane earlier trying to help him get that wave pushed in and unable to do so and gets punished for it.
Yeah, it seems like just, his aggressive flash earlier combined with just like MLG Pro understanding his timings on the Sion ult, Chill Savior ready and like looking for that shutdown. I think just good timing, like well coordinated from Elysian, and that's going to give all 3 grubs over to Elysian. So as we're looking at feats of strength, that's the feat of warfare has gone to AFK already, but 1 objective to Elysian. Seems like it will potentially be traded for the dragon, although no, yeah, it looks like they're not going to contest. Chill Savior backing off, just going to go clear top to bot again. So dragon for grubs trade is acceptable.
Well, yeah, and something to note too with Peekaboo's, kind of he spent that time in the mid lane helping Hotspurs try to crash it in, and then taking that die is that death is that Savior has actually been able to regain that tempo that he lost in the early game, and is now even or just slightly ahead in CS and XP.
Yeah. Bot Prio, however, might change that story, right? As Peekaboo now gets to invade and take away Chill Savior's Gromp. I think mostly because we expected Varus and Hui to have bot Prio in this matchup, but hard to get Prio when your bot lane goes 0-5 in about 5 minutes.
No, absolutely. Like we were talking about, you really kind of got to take control of the lane before Victor gets to this lost chapter. When he can kind of maintain his mana and CDs in a much better rates. Because once he hits that point, it's really hard to get the push into a Victor. And then once he gets his upgraded E, it's next to impossible.
Yeah, and it's going to free up the Rel to sort of roam around the map a lot more too, right? Like, young Adrian perfectly happy to 1v2 in this lane, just clear waves on repeat. Chill Savior now going to go check his bot camps to find that all 3 have been taken away. Is Peekaboo going to get out? Although MLG Pro waiting for him in a bush. Maybe they know this is coming. Chill Savior going in, up, but Q here on the Rel. Might just back out, although Sion stunned up, gets to the blast cone. Oh no, charging back in. Double airborne, 2 knockups. Volibear going over the top. Walt flashing out again. Chill Savior though in the backline of the Wukong ult. Young Adrian on a rampage so far. 1 for 1, 2 for 1. Walt picking up some kills, getting some much needed gold. See if they can shut down Young Adrian in the backside of this Wukong. So strong here. Chains of Corruption though just missed. Looks like we're gonna kite this out. Trying to go back in on the Victor now though, but I think we're gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, and we're starting to see that again, being stuck on that ward. I don't think MLG Pro realized that he was sitting on a ward there. Luckily for Chill Savior, able to get the kill on Peekaboo there and make sure that they trade that 1 for 1.
Yeah, and so important that both of these kills actually went over to Walt on the Varus, right? As you can see here. Yeah, you're right. Sort of a bush trap from Elysian, but it doesn't quite work out. You're right, MLG Pro on a ward. Charges back in here, though, which I do think caught AFK a little unawares. Walt flashes out at just the right time. Hits level 6, actually, by grabbing these kills. Rel sort of stuck in the backline there, and Victor completely zoned out by the Sion on Wukong. Sion goes down for it, but really well-played fight from Chill Savior.
Yeah, and actually, trading 2 for 1. You notice that Victor just really unable to get in and kind of be extremely effective in that fight. Definitely what you need on the side of AFK if you want to win those fights.
Yeah, and I mean, his ultimate not quite threatening enough yet as look at a big engage from Q. Crash down into 3. Chill Savior getting out by the skin of his teeth, but looks like he might fall. Hotspurs flashing in. 2 kills to the Corki. Varus down as well. That is 3 kills off the back of a great engage from the Rel.
No, absolutely. And you're starting to see this just kind of spiral completely out of control for Elysium. The Victor and the Corki getting a majority of this money, and you can see them at a 2.5 gold lead right now. At 11 minutes in the game is a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think like we said a bit last week, right? At this level of play, like what we're really looking for in a winning team is like engage buttons pressed at the same time, right? Like the more coordinated and fast an engage can be, the higher likelihood you have of winning a team fight. And that was a perfect example from AFK, is that they're gonna look to claim the second set of grubs here, at least gonna claim 1. And yeah, Elysian doesn't want to contest 4 members of AFK here. So looks like not gonna be a contest. Young Adrian just walking off the Wukong poke, catching the mid wave. Bot wave will be dropped, unfortunately. No TPs to catch it, but that should be 3 grubs apiece to each team. Q kiting out these kill shots here. Fancy footwork in the mid lane as MLG Pro gonna have to back off, but he's Sion. He's too tanky for this. Dropping the Storm, but not going to do much.
Yeah, and like you said, Elysium not really wanting to contest AFK, with Adrian being able to rotate on this Victor and Walt on Varus kind of stuck in the bot lane trying to catch up on some CS there. Just kind of a no-brainer. Great call by Elysium for to back off on that.
Yeah, and Walt catching some free farm, as you said, I think is really important. If this this Varus can get to match this Victor, that would be really, really quite big, especially as like we're looking at Elysian. They're with a Sion mid, right? You're lacking damage in the places you expect to have it. Singed and Hui will deal damage later into the game, but maybe not in the ways most team comps are used to, right? Support Hui will not be putting out the same level of damage as a mid lane Hui. Singed, not always the most effective at putting out damage in a team fight, so the stronger Walt can get quicker, the better is Dwango. Wow, really pushing heavy on this tower, not afraid of the Singed at all. Maybe going to start a proxy of his own. Proxying on a Singed, that's a power move.
No, absolutely. And this kind of, something I'm really interested to see how, Elysium handles this is what are they going to do about this Tryndamere? I mean, he's already, at least even, but he is up with plates currently on this Singe. That was a great escape there. I can think that Chill Savior recognized that he's not in a position to actually 1v1 this Tryndamere, and with Franco kind of wandering to kind of proxy in tandem with Dwango, great choice to disengage from that.
Yeah, he kind of juked him out of the brush there, right? He W'd on the Wukong, looked like he was going over the wall, but instead actually went back in towards his red buff. So Dwango followed with an E over the wall, and it's just kind of fun mechanic there. But you're right, yeah, double proxy lanes here. So Hot S'mores might be caught out trying to rotate down to the dragon. Peekaboo not going to get here in time. Hot S'mores will fall ulti over the top from the volley bear, but not enough damage, I don't think. Flashing it onto Chill Savior will actually pick him up. We'll see if they can get the Cyan as well. Q is roamed up here. May end up being 2 for 1. Hot S'mores caught out, but a double kill to the volley bear.
No, absolutely. Great response by AFK there. I mean, it looked like a good pick. You're trying to pick on this Corki while his flash is still down. But unfortunately not able to get the kill quick enough, and Peekaboo was able to respond with Q and get the job done.
Yeah, this Volibear early skirmishing, it's actually a Sundered Sky start Volibear, which I don't remember if that was in your list of Volibear builds, but going to be good for this early skirmishing, especially into the Trinity Force. Wukong is Skylar, caught a bit out of position, going to have to flash the wall as he tries to contest, but they can't even walk into their own jungle anymore.
No, absolutely. And yeah, the Thunder Sky gives you a ton of early skirmishing power. That healing you're going to get when fighting in these, 2v2s, 3v3s. I'm going to give you a lot of extra sustain. And then just as the game goes on, you kind of get to build into Dead Man's Plate, Spirit Visage, Thorn Mail, these, extra tank items that are really going to make Volibear extremely difficult to kill, especially with the lead that he has right now.
Yeah, Q a little out of position here in between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers. Flashes at the end there just to fall to Walt. Not really sure how we got in that situation. I guess Peekaboo coming in for an invade a little late. Peekaboo now around the back, though. Young Adrian TPing back in. Not going to look for anything. Dwango here in the top side, maybe looking for a dive on MLG Pro. This could be a bit spicy, but no, actually just going to take away the Raptors. And something I want to point out, Peekaboo has been incredibly effective so far this game. Up almost 20 CS, has gotten 3 of the first 4 neutral objectives, right? Gave those feats of strength over to his team. Wow, they get the first turret there as well. Dwango diving in on the tower. Has to pop the Undying Rage. We'll see if he gets out, though. Chill Savior in the back, probably just going to catch him off the end of that ulti. Yeah, slaying him. Tryndamere pushing up a little too far.
No, absolutely. I mean, I loved him taking the Raptors there and kind of using that timer that he was on effectively. But, getting under that tower doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We got a flash from MLG Pro here to dodge the running bear. Looks like Chill Savior waiting in the bush.
Oh, yeah, trying to go back in. Gets the knock up off the first but oh wow, coming in over the top for Peekaboo. He's not afraid of this Wukong at all. Collapse him down. Another kill to Hot S'mores. 14-7 for AFK at only 16 minutes. They're going for Rift Herald.
Well, absolutely. And like I said, we're starting to see this gold lead continue to balloon. 3.3K right now. Taking another objective. Have feats of strength. They're up 2 dragons. They're definitely in the driver's seat with this game.
Yeah, and I mean, they've just been roaming around the map so effectively, right? It feels like S'mores and Peekaboo are everywhere you want them to be. As Franco trying to run out. We'll see if he's fast enough to escape from all of the lockdown of the rail. Crashdown did hit, but yeah, nothing else. Pops the okay emote. Can't really catch a Singed like that, but he's out of mana. Gonna have to go back to base. Rift Herald now has gone over to AFK. That is 2 of the first dragons. That is 3 grubs. And that is a Rift Herald to AFK. They're going to take a top tier 1. They took a bot tier 1 already. This is a bit of a stomp so far. Although TP behind.
Looks like they're going to have this Tryndamere get collapsed on, knowing that his ultimate is on a timer right now.
Yeah, we'll see if they can catch him. Fling flash over the wall into the ground, but that's quite nice. We'll see. Pops the Undying Rage here. May look to try and trade a kill back into the Wukong. That Hui ultimate. Not going to do it. Oh my god, finds Skylar there. Look, getting a kill in the 1v3, costing them a teleport. That's all right for Dwango.
No, he actually made the best of that with his ult coming off of cooldown just in time, able to get one back. It's crazy to see that, Dwango kind of had full control of that lane, and, he made a couple of poor rotation calls, and Singe was able to take that tower first, and, now has the pushing wave on the top side.
Yeah, and this is where what we said, right? We're going to have to look at these side lanes. Who's pushing further? Who has the ability to push up more, right? Whether it's the Scion, whether it's the Tryndamere, whether it's the Singed, it's going to be an interesting sort of push and pull back and forth, probably for the rest of the game.
Well, yeah, agreed. And I think obviously the Tryndamere is still gonna have a slight gold lead, being able to take all those plates versus Singed being able to take the tower, post 14 minutes. But with split pushing, it's going to be a lot about your rotations and where you can kind of read when you can push and how far you can push. And, it'll be interesting to see if, Dwango can kind of lock in here and get that done.
Yeah, an important part of that too is that Walt on the Varus actually took TP, not expecting a very active lane, right? And so felt safe to take the teleport. And there's no teleport on Dwango, meaning he's probably going to be pushing top lane most of this game. So it is 3 TPs to 2 in terms of overall. We're setting up for the Drake here. Elysian has control of the river, but that's a Herald dropped in mid lane by AFK. Looks like they may have to go answer that, and now AFK coming in taking complete control of the river. Chains of Corruption miss from Walt completely. They may have to give the 3rd Drake. That feels so bad.
Well, this is some great macro calls here from AFK. They see that they have Dwango pushing it on the top side. Elysium has full control of that river, and they say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to shove this Herald down the mid lane, and we're going to make you choose. Either you answer this Herald and you answer top side, or we get the dragon. And in this case, they're going to get the dragon and the top tower anyway, and the mid tower anyway. So, yeah. The quick call gives, AFK a big leg up here. Elysium late to respond.
It really does. Yeah, it actually feels like a bit of a blunder on Elysian's part, right? They said, okay, hey, we're at this dragon first. We're going to set up control of the river. We're going to look to contest this. We don't want to give them sole point. The trade you make for that is accepting you're going to lose your tier 2 top tower to Dwango, right? But instead, they got pushed out of the river by the Herald on mid lane and then still didn't TP up to match the Tryndamere. So sort of worst of both worlds, they didn't save anything.
No, absolutely. And now, you look at the gold lead, almost just under 5,000 gold here going into 20 minutes. Otacon, our new amazing jungle monster and our big objective now spawning right here at 20 minutes. I struggle to see how Elysium is really going to be able to contest this without giving up an inhibitor.
Well, I'm surprised. That is actually a ruinous Otacon, not a voracious. We'll see. Charging down in the bot lane here. Looks like Hotmore's gonna get out. MLG Pro probably not gonna be able to catch him. Though Franco coming in here might ground him, flipped him up. This Corki in a bit of a sticky situation. Flashes out. Huge crash down Magnet Storm from Rel, but Chains of Corruption on the young Adrian might just disengage this whole fight. Scion, though, in the middle of everyone tanking it up. Rel on the back line. Volibear ulting in. Walt has fallen. MLG Pro has fallen. Elysian is dropping like flies to this Volibear. Chill Savior picks up one to the back. Ulting, maybe they could catch the Volibear out now. Caught up a little out too far. Do we have another pause? Nope, just a brief respite from a crazy teamfight. Actually, somehow a win for Elysian.
Well, yeah, but this is what we're talking about. This split pushing. Look at this Tryndamere taking that middle inhibitor. And now, Hotmore's TPing in and actively putting pressure on this top side as well, taking Elysium off of Otacon.
Yeah, they say, look, you may have won the 4v5 or 5v4 team fight, excuse me, but you are going to lose for it. They lose their entire mid-inhib, and now it's going to be so much easier for AFK to spawn back onto the map and walk right to this Otacon. That team fight's so interesting. It seems like Peekaboo maybe got a little too cocky, split up from the rest of his team, ulting over the front line of Elysian, but not able to clean up enough of the back line. Hotmore's just kind of separated from the rest of the group, but you're right, Dwango, so effective on the split push.
No, absolutely. It's a great thing to say, or see, excuse me. Something too is, these super minions are going to pose a real challenge to Walt here. He's one full item. It's going to be a real struggle for him to kind of take care of getting those waves cleared. And then, something that you look at, the real wave clear that we have, looks like Q is here in a little bit of trouble, gets to get out with that crash down. Going back to Elysium, their best wave clear is in their support. Again, not even on their second item yet. So it's going to be a lot of pressure that they can create with these super minions.
Yeah, you're right. I almost would have liked to see Lethality Varus this game, right? There's not a ton of tankiness on the side of AFK, and you're going to spike a little bit earlier with Lethality Varus as opposed to this on-hit build where I just worry he won't have enough time, but we don't have time to talk about it. Crash down Magnet Storm to the back from Q. Another beautiful engage. Chill Savior ignited up, going to drop. Skylar going to fall as well. AFK is going to look to turn to this Otacon. Q finds another phenomenal engage.
Yeah, and we said this in the beginning, something that we really enjoy to see and kind of what separates good teams from great teams is Peekaboo and Q have been in sync this entire game. Their engages have been absolutely in line, and they are doing a wonderful job of staying locked in together.
Yeah, absolutely. They're turning at the exact right time, right? They're flashing in together all at the same time. They're going to pick up a lot of petals here after the ruinous Otacon has fallen. This is the Otacon for a higher kill, higher damage game. So get a little look at our Corgi there, one of the cutest skins in League. But this means sort of even more increased XP leads on the side of AFK.
Well, yeah, this increased XP as everybody approaches level 16. And then just the adaptive force. I mean, you look at this Trendemir just about to take over to level 16. Then we get our Corki and Victor. Something I do want to point out is young Adrian on this Victor, 2 levels above Walt on this Varus. Just really, really, really behind on this Varus. And it's going to be very interesting to see if he has a chance to get back into this game.
Yeah, I agree. I do think if you're looking to fight as Elysian, though, the time might have to be soon, right? You're going to have to fight over the soul point. Walt is on 2 items, and yes, young Adrian has a quite substantial golden XP lead, but he's also only on 2 completed items. So I think it's a bit now or never for Elysian. You got to say, look, we'll give up some of our base. We have to take this 5v4 around the soul, and we have to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said, they do have to kind of choose. Chains of Corruption kind of shutting down Peekaboo's advance. That is a key ultimate that they're
on the
back
line. He's pulled off of the split push, caught Walt out unawares, wasn't ready for it, crashed down to the back. Skylar gonna fall pretty quickly as well. Peekaboo chasing right after him. Chill Savior ulting out of the backside. Skylar actually alive for now. Chill Savior caught out of the Wukong though. What a play from Duango, pulling off the split push, coming in around the back of Walt as Skylar, oh my god, just deleted by the Victor. This game might end right here at 24 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Not really anything that MLG Pro can do there to stop them. And this has just been a very, very one-sided game for AFK. Very one-sided.
Although it does look like the game actually might not end as Singed has taken the entire wave, flashing over the wall, seeing what he can do if he can sort of just annoy them out of winning the game. They flash in on him, Ignite. Oh, and he's caught out by the laser just at the end there, but not enough minions to end the game. A bit of a hero play from Wander Franco as, Elysian escapes with their Nexus, but will not escape with Soul.
Yeah, and if you're Elysium, I mean, that Wander did the best he could in that situation. You did get a couple of flashes blown on the side of AFK to try to get to that Singed. And, in this situation, you're just really trying to hope that you have an opportunity to fight at any other point in the game. While I do think it's going to be very, very difficult for Elysium to come back, those are the little things that at least give you the opportunity.
Yeah, but now we have to play Hui Varus bot lane into Mountain Soul. Like, I'm sort of failing to see the way back into the game for Elysian here, other than some massive overextension from AFK, right? But they should just be able to push up into the jungle as far as they want. Duango might just be able to sort of end the game on a side lane by himself. You see, Elysian's inhibitor in the mid lane has respawned. Maybe a bit of a saving grace for them there. There's no more super minions marching in, but I can't imagine the inhib will stay there too long.
Yeah, and this split push effect that AFK has going right now, it really does say, if you guys want to contest us, if you want to contest us at this Baron, that's great, but you're going to have to pull Singe to do it. And if you pull Singe to do it, we're going to take this bot tower. We're going to take this middle inhibitor again. And here we do see AFK starting up this Baron. Chill Savior on a ward, sneaking around behind this Baron.
Yeah, there's so much vision for the side of AFK. It's going to be really hard for Chill Savior to get in here. And he can't actually see the Baron yet. Has no idea when to steal. This is going to be blind if he tries to jump at the wall. Though the Baron is resetting. Looks like they're maybe trying to turn for a fight, but they don't find anyone. They half reset the Baron and then turn right back onto it. It's looking a little messy, but Q over the wall here, unspotted so far. Now they see him, but maybe looking for an engage. MLG Pro going to catch him out. Franco just running straight into the backline, though. Q going to be caught out. Huge crash down Magnus Orb to 3 again. Franco sprinting out there, though. They've caught Q. MLG Pro in the middle. This is looking like a big fight for Elysian. Wukong's in there now. Adrian going to fall. Peekaboo and S'mores running for their lives. Duango not able to get much more on the split push. Huge hero play for the side of Elysian.
Yeah, we did say Duango here getting that middle inhibitor. He does use his ultimate here, try to get to Walt. Is going to make a play here on Wander.
I think he might just end the game. He kills the Varus. Oh, but he's not quite able to get the Singe. Gets flipped at just the wrong time. And on the other side of the fight, Elysian won even more. They're actually completely aced AFK, Chill Savior put in the work at the backside of the fight. MLG Pro still almost full health. Now they're going to try and get the Baron. They're going to recoup their base and look to maybe turn the tempo of this game.
Now I think this is the first real mistake we've seen from AFK. They had Dwango, killing that middle inhibitor, going back bot lane, getting the tier 2, continuing to push the wave. And all they really had to do was kind of back out. They've already got what they wanted. They got that mid lane inhibitor. They got another tower. They could have definitely, backed out from this. We do see Q coming in here, trying to contest this, crashing down, doing some real
looks like
taking
he's
out
just going to kill Chill Savior. That's absurd. He's going to get out with it too. Maybe, nope. Magnustorm coming in. He is going to fall to Wonderfragment, but he solo stopped the Baron there. Solo killing the jungler in a 1v2. Q has been the hero of this game for AFK, but I agree. I think if you're AFK, I don't understand why we're turning off the Baron here. I think we just commit, try to finish the Baron, but Franco gets right in there, sort of 1v3s in there. Q hits a great engage, but no one can follow up. Hot S'mores has been zoned out. Adrian's in the zone. Yes, Franco runs all the way out, and then they just run straight into the Scion. Like, the engage is too split up. I think a great play from Chill Savior and Franco zoning out all the carries of AFK. As we see the backside of the team fight we didn't get to see here as they sort of brush cheese them, trying to chase into the jungle. Chill Savior putting in the work in this fight. As we switch back to live, though, we see AFK has claimed the Baron thanks to Q's solo kill on Chill Savior. Gonna get out without a team fight here, but that is Baron for the next 3 minutes to AFK. We'll see if they can end the game.
Yeah, it's something to notice that, MLG Pro TP's top here has to answer Dwango. I mean, at this point, Tryndamere has already shown that he's going to take over this game and end it if you don't have somebody to match him there immediately. So that does provide a great opportunity here as, the Elder Dragon gets ready to spawn here in about 2 minutes.
This Hot S'mores TPing into the bot lane here. He might be a little far up. Chill Savior gonna hit the Wukong ult, trying to knock him up. Q here, though, trying to peel for his AD carry. They actually might just be rushing into the base. Chill Savior will see it in his damage. Crash down. Magnustorm, so much damage out of Hot S'mores. Chill Savior falls immediately. Peekaboo in, disabling the tower. Franco gonna get out unscathed, but Dwango pushing in the top side. Rest of AFK pushing in the bot side with the Baron. Red turret destroyed. Red turret destroyed. Red inhibitor destroyed. Red inhibitor destroyed. The whole base is falling for Elysian. Chains of Corruption in on the back. We'll see if they can get anything done. Dwango hasn't even popped the ulti yet, though. This game is about to end. Franco running in the middle of everyone. Q will fall at the last second, but it does not matter. AFK taking a decisive game 1 over Elysian.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very one-sided. Great work on the side of AFK Exiled. That Tryndamere really was able to take over the game. A couple of questionable calls there in the middle, but he really pulled through in the end. Great work.
Sure, we had a bit of a Baron throw in there, but I also really want to highlight, as you said earlier in the middle of the game, the jungle support synergy on this team. So clean with the engages, right? They're winning 4v5s while Dwango is split pushing, right? On a comp like this, as a top laner, you were so happy if you pick up a tier 2 tower and then see that your entire team won the 4v5 on the other side because of a crazy rel engage. This was the perfect situation for Tryndamere to take over the game.
Absolutely. You look at the damage here. I want to point out this bot lane. We talked about young Adrian versus Walt. Walt, having taken on that carry role in the past, but unfortunately in this game, only able to put out 11.1k worth of damage versus young Adrian's 29.6. Very, very large disparity. Kind of followed, like we said, a lack of damage on the side of Elysian Esports. This Scion not able to put out, anywhere near what Corki was able to do.
As we can see, Hui actually pumping out most of the damage, but a really interesting thing about this game is that the Hui is now out of the pool, right? Used as a support pick to try and get lane prio in game 1. Didn't work out, did a lot of damage, but it just didn't seem to matter. So the mid lane pool going to be interesting as we head into more game 2 and 3. But you're right. I mean, Walt just shut down so many times in the early levels. And Victor, if you're up that amount of kills in the bot lane, so oppressive to play into an AD carry.
Absolutely. Looking on to game 2, though, I am excited to see there are a lot of priority AD carries in the pool. The unique thing about this game is we see Corki taken out. We see Victor playing the bot lane. Varus playing the bot lane. There are a lot of priority picks out there. Jinx, something we see a lot of. Ashe, something we see a lot of. We've been seeing some Draven, Kalista, some of those things that were nowhere near this game. So it'll be very exciting to see which direction this bot lane goes. If I'm on the side of Elysian Esports, I need to pick myself a winning bot lane. we have got to get something going through this. Young Adrian and Q, obviously with the performance they just gave, are not a team that is going to let you, if they get a lead, they're going to run with it. They're not going to let you get back into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do also want to see, I think you're right for Elysian. I want to see a winning bot lane, but I want to see Skylar have some go buttons, right? Like a huge deciding factor in that game was just how easy the engage looked for AFK Exiled, right? And I think maybe if Elysian has some go buttons in the same way, they can look to turn the tide and take the series to 1-1.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I do think that obviously Peekaboo and Q synergy, as we talked about, was absolutely phenomenal during this game. And you really want to see, Chill Savior and Skylar get on that same page. Like you said, I would much prefer to see, Skylar on some form of real engage button or decision making champion. Or the flip side, obviously we saw the Lulu kind of get banned out here, but I think the other route is you can see them kind of play that enchanter, but then their whole team comp kind of has to really be restructured to play that front to back, and put Walt on another one of those carry champs like Jinx or Kog'Maw.
Yeah, either way, it's back to the drawing board for Elysian Esports after a tough loss in game number 1. We're going to go to a quick break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, and welcome back to week 2 of the Vanquisher League for Titan Esports. If you missed game 1, it was an exciting victory for AFK Exiled over Elysian Esports. Feat some Tryndamere split pushing, some Volibear jungle engages, and some all-around weirdness in early game team fights.
Yeah, a lot of skirmishing on the early side. You really get to see the power of the Volibear in that game 1, that early skirmishing. And they kind of, never took their foot off the gas. They got that early lead and they just kind of ran with it the entire game. I really am hoping that Elysium comes out and we get a much more competitive game too.
Yeah, I agree. Something I was scrolling through chat in our break, and something I saw a lot of criticism on was the rel build from Q, but it turns out it doesn't matter as much what you build on support rel when you are up that much gold so early in the game.
Yeah, if I'm Q, I'm pointing at the scoreboard. I don't think I'd be taking a lot of heat on my build right now.
Yeah, same. Look, I don't know, man. I had a Tryndamere top and he carried me. It doesn't really matter what happens. That guy's mastery 81, so GG.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also interesting, we saw, two very niche top laners played in this first game. So it'll be interesting to see if we see something a little more traditional when we get back here in game 2. The Casantes, Renekton's, just kind of that traditional top lane matchup that we're used to seeing that we didn't get to see in game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, if we could see something a little more standard in terms of like what a team traditionally wants to do, right? If we could see a front to back kind of comp, a pick kind of comp that like knows what it is, knows what it wants to do, especially from Elysian trying to bounce back after game 1 loss, I think let's pick something where we all understand, right, what we are trying to do, and we can all coordinate together and like execute on an easy plan.
Yeah, I think if I'm Elysium, I'm going to pick a lane and we're going to play through it. And we're really going to focus on getting that lane ahead. Something you see in game number 1 is they didn't get ahead anywhere. They really didn't focus anywhere. They had a little bit of a fight in bot lane, but after that initial skirmish, they really didn't do much in the bot lane either during the laning phase. They kind of left Walt and Skylar down there to just get ran over by an accelerated Victor. So if I'm Elysium, I'm really going to see, what can I do to push and play through, my mid laner or Walt and Skylar, as they are, one of the more competitive bot lanes in our league right now. How are we going to get them online? What are we going to do to allow them the opportunity to get us through one of these games?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. What happened in the first game actually just sort of comes back down to the draft, right? When you're picking only one pushing lane, which theoretically would have been the Varus and the Hwei in the bot lane, right? Sion's going to get pushed in, especially in the early levels. Singe is probably going to get pushed in by Tryndamere, or they're just, as we saw, both going to go proxy, and it doesn't really matter. If you have only one winning lane and that lane loses for whatever reason, right? In this game, it was because the mid lane was so hard pushing from AFK that he got to roam down first on the Corki and they won the 4v3. When your one winning lane loses, the game gets a lot harder, so I want to see some winning lane matchups attempted to be drafted by Elysian. Elysian is now on the blue side. They've swapped after game 1, and we'll see what are prio picks that are still left up after game 1. I'm imagining things like Skarner still on the table, Vi, J4.
Yeah, this is Xin Zhao too. I mean, it is going to be interesting to see if we see the same bans. We do see a variation already, that Trundle going to be taken away. They said, we left it for you in game 1, you didn't take it. After game 1's results, we're not going to give you that opportunity on something comfortable. We are going to see Rek'Sai ban on the side of AFK, just another repeat. Looks like Elysium does want to pinch that jungle pool a little bit. The Volibear already gone, taking away that Trundle, taking away J4. I expect probably a Skarner take here. The only difference would be is if they want to play it themselves. Maybe we'll see them try to leave it open. They are going to take away that Mbessa, so I do expect AFK here to go ahead and ban that Skarner and not hand it over to Elysium.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to. You really just can't let Skarner through. They're going to do it. We'll
they
see
have.
100% win rate Skarner B1 can come through again, opting for a Cassante ban instead. This sort of follows anyone who keeps up with the Tier 1 North American League scene, and there it is, the Skarner B1. This sort of keeps up with Bwippo's recent tweet about top lane priorities. This has been a big thing in the community the last couple of days, where he said that, like, if Mbessa and Jace are down, or if I guess you don't trust that your opponent can play Jace, Cassante is the best blind. So after the Mbessa ban, we're going to ban Cassante, and we're saying, hey, we accept this trade. Skarner for Xin Zhao. How do you feel about that?
Personally, I'm on the side of Skarner. I do think, Xin Zhao has some great playmaking ability. There is some good utility to it with his ultimate. But Skarner's in such a good place right now, and it is definitely, in my opinion, a lot easier to execute on. I do like this Aurora pick. It does give them some great skirmishing power, especially when they hit those level 6 spikes for that jungle and what I would assume is that mid-jungle duo. We could also see that on the top side when you think about, skirmishing over Grubs or Otacon potentially later in the game. We do have that skirmishing power with Xin Zhao and the bunny girl here.
Yeah, wow. An early Xayah Renata pickup as well for Walt Skylar, the bot lane of Elysian. We'll see what they can get done with this. I like Xayah, sort of, kite back peel into a Xin Zhao, into an Aurora, can be really strong. Jinx, now picked up for young Adrian. We'll see what the support that goes with that is. But I completely agree with you. Ease of execution, I think, is what we were looking for on Elysian. Honestly, Chill Savior had an okay game. Last game, there wasn't really much he could do. He tried as well as he could to find engages. He played some of those team fights really well on the Wukong. Now on the Skarner, we'll see what he can get done for his team.
Yeah, and like we said, we're talking about some more traditional team comps, kind of front to backing a little bit so far here on the side of Elysium. And I do love Renata. I love, the Xayah in terms of we see a lot of engage and a lot of the ability to kind of dive in and jump in from their first 2 picks. So I do love that in response. We're going to see what they pair this Jinx with, assuming that they'll save that R5 for their top side.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Poppy Ban, Rumble Ban, Mbessa Ban. I'm not really sure what we're looking for in the top lane here, I believe, and that's a Braum to be paired with the Jinx, saving R5 for potentially a top lane counterpick. Aurora, again, is always a flex pick, so not sure if our top laners play it or not, but looking like a fairly strong teamfight comp again for AFK. We'll see if they get a split push thread as well. Wow, Zach now locked in for Elysian. I'm assuming that's going up to the top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. We have seen a little bit of variations on some Zac mid rotating around, but definitely top the more traditional. As we do pick a scaling mid lane pick here in Azir. I do love this from Elysium, just a more traditional front to back, 2 carry, kind of play style, going back to something a little more easy to execute in game number 2 with Mordekaiser being that R5 pick there against Zac.
Yeah, we're looking at much more standard drafts here, Leslie. I think compared to last game, Elysian has gone back to the drawing board and said, okay, look, kind of exactly what we said. They said, let's go for something that we know how to play. How can we best team fight, right? We're going to look to scale up and team fight. Both comps actually kind of looking to scale and team fight, maybe a little more early game power on the side of AFK, Mord, and Xin Zhao. Pretty good fighters in the early game, but we'll see. This has the potential to be a bit of a slower game, maybe less kills. Maybe we'll end up seeing a voracious Otacon this game with less damage, less kills on the map.
Yeah, I do think this bot lane is going to be very, very important, of course. Obviously, the Jinx, Walt on definitely more of a carry type 80 carry. But what I would be worried about on the side of Elysium is if this Jinx gets ahead, with the exception of Zac being kind of able to dive in and leaving your 2 carries unprotected, how do you get onto Jinx? What is the lockdown going to be for that champion? And right now, it's little to nothing.
Yeah, I agree. And I worried maybe a little bit that on Elysian, again, we're a bit low damage, right? I like a 2-threat comp with a couple of tanks. I really do, but I worry about Xayah's potential to really get in there and put out the DPS in these fights. But we'll see, as we're hopping into game 2 of AFK versus Elysian. AFK on the red side this game. Lanes looking fairly standard again. Let's see if Elysian can bounce back and even up our series 1-1.
Absolutely. So, all right, we've got to ask the question, who do you give this draft to? We're going to give it to AFK or Elysium here?
I think I'm giving it to AFK again. It's much closer this time. Like, I think I understand what these drafts are trying to do. Both sides were trying to team fight, right? There's less of a split push focus, which I think can be a little harder to execute. But I really like Aurora. I think that this comp has a bit more threat than Elysian's maybe does, but we'll have to see. Yeah, wow, Pro Comp's agreeing with me. 60% draft score to AFK. I also think Xayah's maybe not in the strongest of places right now in the meta. Haven't seen her in a little while. Some buffs on this patch to Yuntal Wild Arrows, Lord Doms, so we'll see if she ends up picking up any of those items, but I'm just not sure about the champ.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things to note in this team comp specifically on the side of Elysium is that they have, Walt on Xayah, it's such a short range 80 carry. You have to get in so close to really be able to pump out that damage. And you're not going to have the ability, unless you can line up some really, really great feathers, you're really not going to have the ability to kite back the same as Jinx is going to have. Jinx is going to be able to hit that front line from a much safer distance, and apply pressure, versus Xayah is really going to have to step in there to do the same.
Yeah, you're right. Close range, not where you want to be against Aurora, against Mordekaiser, right? The threat of the Death Realm, the threat of the Between Worlds coming through, those sort of things can really delete you as an AD carry. You see, Elysian is getting the push this game in the bot lane, to be expected. Renata and Xayah will be a bit of a bully lane. Braum, though, totally fine to tank up a couple of hits. CS fairly even as Dwango taking a good trade on the top side. Franco, not particularly concerned. A lot of sustain on Both top laners here, manaless, health regen in their kits. Not sure we're going to get much action up here.
Yeah, but definitely something to think on is that Dwango, if Wanderer's not careful here, and we do see that Chill Saver has decided to path towards this top side, knowing it's a losing matchup for Wanderer. He is on a ward here. We're gonna see if they try to take this fight. Looks like they are gonna commit.
Yeah, walking over ward, but Dwango is pretty far up. Rooted now gonna be good pull, blocking the initial impact. We'll see if he has to flash out here. Hasn't even popped the shield yet. Taking a lot of damage, Wander Franco is, but Dwango, wow, cold as ice. Walks it out, no flash, doesn't need it.
Yeah, and like we said, really kind of wanting to put something towards the bot lane and kind of unlock Walt and play through him. I do understand trying to kind of looks like we're getting really close here. Wander, look like they're going to continue this dive.
I'll go for a full dive. Wander flashes in, doesn't hit anything. Dwango, flashes out, gets the first blood on the Chill Savior. Wander trying to run out. Hot S'mores is now TP'd in. That's a mastery flash, but the first blood actually goes to AFK. Pretty clean from Dwango. I don't really know what Wander was doing flashing in there. Didn't really hit anything, but a messy dive up at the top side, as we'll see. Not a lot of action anywhere else. 1-1. First blood no longer matters for feats of strength, so a fairly even trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to note here is that they do, with the TP coming out from Hot S'mores, trying to cover that dive. We do have a current lane swap, so it'll be interesting to see if, maybe MLG Pro can kind of try to take advantage of this ranged matchup for the short time that he has. We do have Wanderer coming in on Hot S'mores, no mana. Going to be very interesting to see if he can get out of it here.
Yeah, this is a bit of an issue. Aurora TP'd straight from mid lane, didn't base beforehand, so taking a huge chunk from the Zac lane, pushing away from Aurora as well. Now it's going to be forced to back. Maybe could run back mid this time, as I can't imagine Mordekaiser was happy in the Azir matchup, so lanes are going to reset, but S'mores is going to miss out on a good amount because of having to TP straight to the top lane, whereas MLG hasn't reset yet, hasn't TP'd yet, still chilling, will have a pretty large item advantage, I think, off his first base over Hot S'mores.
Yeah, and something to look at, look at the CS difference here between Chill Savior and Peekaboo. Peekaboo just taking a more traditional full clear towards the bot side, skipping only one camp at that time. Looks like we're going to have a replay here of this dive gone wrong on the top side.
Yeah, great pull from Dwango there to block the E from Skarner. Procs the passive, just starts dealing so much damage here, holds the shield so long, and knows, you guys are out of CC, I can walk this out. I think at this point, Elysian is like, we've invested too much time, we need to dive him, we need to kill him, but 1-for-1, this just isn't worth it, because you're right, Peekaboo's hard farming this whole time. Here's the dive. Franco takes a tower shot early, and then watch this flash from Franco here. I'm not really sure. He just slightly misses, and then Savior tanks up a couple of tower shots. As we see back in live, we got a bit of a fight. Bot laner is going down. We got an Azir ult coming through. See what you can do. Walt taking very low. See if he can get the reset. Probably not enough damage. Dragon did go over to AFK, and now they're looking to push in onto Elysian. We'll see. No, not going to be much more action. Missed a lot of the fight there, but it seems like potentially only Walt and Chill Savior dropped on the side of Elysian.
Absolutely. We do say AFK also pick up that first Mountain Dragon. Not going to be one of our souls. Ooh, a little bit of damage here onto Q. Skylar, not a lot of mana to follow up.
He's not afraid. He's got a big shield. But yeah, it looks like that was potentially a trade of 80 carries, where AFK also picked up a kill onto the enemy jungler and the dragon. So actually a fairly large win for AFK in that team fight. It will be now traded for the first 3 grubs to Elysian, unless Dwango wants to walk down and contest, but it seems pretty safe. Just pushing up the top side, and wow, Franco likes to proxy.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, I do kind of like this idea of, you're never winning this 1v1. You're constantly losing it. Ooh, Wald getting a little pressure, looking to move on Q here.
Yeah, he's got no flash. This bomb's just going to fall. Too aggressive from AFK. Walt picking up a freebie there.
And this is what you want to see. We did talk about really wanting to kind of play through Walt, and at least so far, he does have a little bit of acceleration, a small CS lead, about half a wave, and then he does have the 2 kills up on the Jinx here. So it's nice to see him have, the potential to make an impact here, and let's see if he can do anything about carrying this game.
Yeah, we'll see, and like, look, his top laner's making this top side of the map quite volatile, proxying on Zac, just barely escaping there, it seems like. And great that in a 1v2 down there, he could pick up an easy kill. Q just sort of overextending on the Braum, doesn't have the same mobility as Rel from last game, right? Can't escape once he's in there, once he gets rooted up by the Blade Caller. jungle CS back down to about even. Peekaboo's lead has been sort of shut down. Chill Saviors had a little bit more time to farm, excuse me.
Yeah, I think something to note too that you see a lot of top laners are okay with playing some of these awkward or unfavorable tank matchups is that, Wanderer is going to be far more effective on 1 or 2 items than Dwango is. Those 1 or 2 item power spikes are going to spike a lot higher on this Zac than they are this Mordekaiser. So it'll be interesting to see, what ability he is going to have to affect the game in these mid skirmishes, specifically this second set of grubs. Elysian already picked up this first set, so I'm going to love to see what options, they have open for them when that second grub spawns.
Yeah, and you're right. It's kind of interesting. The map is actually kind of turned around in a way, right? Where the team that got the first 3 grubs actually has the stronger bot side, and the team that got the first Drake has the stronger top side. So we'll see if when those second sets spawn, if that gets flipped around, right? And AFK ends up with the grubs, Elysian ends up with the Drake. As of right now, feats of strength still very much contested. AFK did get the feat of warfare on that dragon fight, right? First 3 kills is Q. Jumping in here, Chill Savior has been spotted out on the flank. Peekaboo was trying to come around, both on vision. I think everyone will probably just walk it out here, sort of handshake, say, hey, we're both here for the counter gank. Nothing's really going to happen.
Yep, absolutely. Definitely very, very good on Chill Savior there. Kind of knowing that Peekaboo should be somewhere around this bot lane, not sure where, kind of biding his time, seeing if an opportunity presents itself, and then being there with the wraparound by Peekaboo. It looks like we do have a pause.
Yeah, another pause seems like potentially another disconnect. I do want to draw attention, though, to the top lane farm right now. Franco down 20 plus in this matchup. I mean, you're right that he'll be more effective on his 1 to 2 item spikes, but he needs to get there in a reasonable amount of time, and it just doesn't look like that's going to happen with only 47 CS at almost minute 10.
Yeah, he's definitely very, very behind. It looks like we do have a jungle DC here. So we're going to go ahead and give them a chance to reconnect. I will say something else I want to point out in this CS, Chill Savior able to regain some of what he lost with that botch dive, right? He's only down 1 CS now, and he's kind of been able to catch up. You see at the moment, even levels with Peekaboo just ticking over to 7. So definitely not as behind. Looks like we are going to go ahead and reconnect and get back into this game now.
Yeah, nice quick pause. Thankfully able to connect back in pretty quickly as Dwango bullying Franco up here into the tower. Jumps back in. Probably going to take another Q here. Yep. There it is as Franco really struggling to walk up and clear these minions. A little bit of a delay because of the pause. Should be back in just a second, I would imagine. As you see the bot lane for AFK just resetting fairly even across the board in gold. We're like only about 100 up on the side of Elysian. As yep, back in game.
Yeah, I do got to give Franco credit. I love, he's being a little risky, but he's really using that passive to his advantage and saying, hey, I'm going to get my farm. I'm going to get my experience. You are going to be ahead here, but I'm only going to let you take so much.
Yeah, it's good. And Dwango hasn't been able to take any plates or anything. Oh, taken so incredibly low. Passive not procced yet, though. Gotta walk up. Oh, okay, he does take the cube. Chill Savior here is now here, though. Excuse me. Trying to push Dwango off. Ooh, misses the impale, though. Dwango just going to sort of walk it out again. Not much threat here. Franco will revive from the passive, but all in all, fairly even up at the top side. We see Hot S'mores on the Aurora has now rotated down to the bot lane. They sent their bot lane mid. Looks like they want to contest grubs.
Yeah, absolutely. See, this is something that I would have much rather liked to have seen from Elysium. Rotate your bot lane mid. Super mega death rocket. Holy cow.
Across the map from young Adrian. Franco was in the Death Realm. I think he hit that rocket like as soon as the Death Realm ended. That was clean.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is really going to kind of, put a damper on wanting to contest these grubs. If you're Elysium, you really can't. I think you're going to have to give those over and see what you can get done, 2v1 in the bot lane.
Yeah, they're late on the rotation or actually just deciding not to rotate up to the top side of their bot lane. So they're giving the grubs. They're saying, hey, we're okay with this trade. We'll take the Drake. You get the grubs. Everything's going to be even 3-3, 1-1 in that regard. But gold lead, now slight for AFK. That was a pretty big kill for the Jinx, who was down a bit in this lane beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely going to catch that Jinx up, and that's... If you're Elysium, that's worrying, right? I mean, this is the one champion out of everything that you really, really can't have any extra gold on because you're going to struggle late in the game to get on top of them.
Ooh, so we see Hot S'mores putting out a lot of damage to the E on the Skylar there. I do want to talk about this Aurora a bit. Picked up 2 kills early in this game and has been pretty silent, down a little bit of CS, which is, I think, to be expected in the matchup, right? Azir's gonna bully Aurora out of lane a little bit, so we'll see, a nice sort of 3D replay here. He's in the Death Realm. As soon as the Death Realm ends, boom, the Super Mega Death Rocket. That's undodgeable. Like, what are you supposed to do?
That is perfect timing. It's got to be some fantastic communication coming out between Dwango and young Adrian. Like you said, undodgeable, nothing you can do. The definition of outplayed right there.
Yeah, I mean, just really clean it and putting the kills on the right target as well, right? Dwango doesn't need the kill. He's winning the matchup really hard. We want to get this Jinx ahead if we can, as we'll see. Looking to catch him as they come back in lane. Peekaboo dashing in on the Skylar. Drops down the ultimate, but not going to do enough. Flashing into the tower. Forced to TP in from MLG Pro to defend against the dive. Peekaboo pulled back in. Crescent guard. Gonna try to walk it as MLG Pro goes in with the drag. Scoops him up, but Peekaboo claims Skylar. MLG Pro doesn't actually find anything yet. Azir not able to pump out the damage. Xayah trying to put it out, but the shield from Braum gonna block it. Oh, Featherstorm up, Blade Caller back. Walt is flashing in and picking up 2. Wow, but the shutdown to young Adrian ends up 2 for 2 from what was looking really bad. But Peekaboo behind enemy lines. We'll see Ishtal Impact from Chill Savior coming in here. Can Peekaboo escape this? I don't think he can. He's got no flash. He can't find the portal. The Impale is going to take him another shutdown over to Elysian.
Absolutely. That's, we were talking about Walt really needed to kind of step up in that carry role, and that's exactly what he did. Oh,
yeah, looking for a little more. Hot S'mores, yep, has that W, has the flash, just going to walk it out of Aurora. Pretty sneaky champion there. It gets out of those kinds of situations, but a nice try from AFK, right? Trying to catch them as they're coming back into lane, but MLG Pro with a good teleport in sort of stops the play, and Walt flashing over the wall aggressively to pick up 2 kills on the backside there. Sort of saves what was looking beforehand to be quite a bad situation.
Absolutely. I think, something we're kind of worried about is that we are very low damage on the side of Elysium until the late game, right? This Azir will definitely start pumping damage, but they need time to scale. They need to get to that 3 and 4 item mark. But the ability of Walt to kind of make a huge difference there. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, Walt used the flash, used the Featherstorm in that first fight. Not gonna get a reset, excuse me, from the Renata. Skylar may fall now, too. Also flash, the Braum passive doing so much work. Young Adrian picks up an easy double kill in the bot lane. This is what happens when you expend all your resources.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, Walt just stepping up far too forward. Young Adrian recognizing that the power that they have in this isolated 2v2 and the amount of CC given off by this Braum passive, and just really being able to get a quick double kill in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Going to get a lot of damage onto this tower now, too. 3 grubs, an entire dropped wave from Walt. Young Adrian, yeah, not up that much, actually. Still close to even up like 200 gold or so. Gold total. Oh, but with the first turret, it's going to balloon a little bit further. Now the whole team up about 2k. Peekaboo here to defend against Chill Savior. Actually going in onto him. Skarner forced to run out. He's knocked up. There goes the Impale, though. Double suppression. He was stunned as well. No one's moving. Braum putting in a lot of work blocking, but MLG Pro is here first on the rotation. The ult comes in from the Renata. Everyone's going berserk. Q. Ooh, flashes just in time to dodge the Azir, but with that flash gone, the Featherstorm Blade Caller gonna find it. Peekaboo trying to walk this one out. Gets slowed, gets rooted up. Crescent Guard may protect him just enough with the traps. Walt, another great Blade Caller. Peekaboo's rooted, dashing back in, trying to pick up Walt. Not quite gonna get it. Oh, young Adrian with the auto at just the right time. Finds 1 return kill and was otherwise real bad overextension from AFK.
Yeah, this really kind of goes to express just what we were talking about with that range disadvantage that you're going to have with Xayah here. Really has to step forward to kind of get any sort of damage onto Peekaboo there, and that leaves young Adrian just kind of free and safely free to pick up and help get that kill.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shutdown in the mid lane. We missed it off camera. Franco seems to have roamed down and, yeah, I guess caught the Aurora completely unawares. Dwango TP'd into the mid lane to hold it now too, but he's not going to be able to. They might look to dive the Mordekaiser as well, as nope, thinks better of it. Brob's in the area. Mordekaiser's hard to dive with the Death Realm, so just going to back out, but a good pickup there from Franco, shutting down the Aurora in the mid lane. They're going to look to maybe break this bot, or mid tier 1, excuse me, but now Adrian here, this Jinx very strong at the moment, going to force him back. Yeah, drops some taps. Looks like a disengage. Oh, flashing over the wall from Duango. He's found MLG Pro in the Death Realm. Gonna shut down the Azir. Huge play on the vision from Duango. Gonna get to push this mid tower in now, too. Elysian has to back off. Great flashing for Duango. Secures them the Drake as well.
Yeah, I want to look at this mini map. You see the level of vision that AFK is kind of able to have around this dragon and inside this river, and really just kind of using that vision, you know, and creating plays and able to kind of put a damper on Elysian here. Going to get a replay of this fight in the bot lane.
Yeah, a bit of a confusing one. I think Peekaboo was looking for a play, but MLG Pro so quick on the roam while Aurora was in base. Looks like they're going to fight back in live. Q way overextended on the Braum. You can't be up that far, buddy. TP in from the Aurora. Renata ult going to go a bit wide. Walt taking dangerously low. Aurora wants that kill so bad. Not going to be able to get it yet. Zach going down to the passive. Skarner coming in, breaking up the fight between worlds. Takes down the Zaya, but a huge shuffle from the Azir right into the waiting arms of Skarner. Young Adrian trying to get some resets. Does get his first reset. Getting excited here. We'll see if he can 1v1 the Heartsteel Skarner on this point. Duango walking up into it, but he's suppressed. He's taken back into the wall. He's shut down. He takes a return kill on MLG Pro on the backside. Duango now here pulling in the Skarner. Rooted up, pushed back. 3 for 3. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of crazy things going on there. You know, something to note, the Jinx still coming out on the very positive receiving end of a lot of this gold, a lot of these shutdowns. You know, even there at the end, he's still going down, but able to trade one back against the Azir. You know, as time goes on, this Jinx is just going to get harder and harder to deal with.
Yeah, and I'm going to admit, I was wrong. Before this game, we looked at these drafts, and I said this might be a bit of a slower early game, but already 26 kills at 18 minutes as the Rift Herald is now spawned onto the map. We see nice little zoom in on Shelly as Duango trying to walk out after claiming their blue buff, actually. Nice little steal from there. Going to get to walk right out. But you're right, young Adrian in the right place at the right time, getting those resets off in the team fights, putting out a lot of damage already early, I believe with just a Yuntal for the Jinx, right? So got to be able to scale pretty well into the late game, but these team fights are so chaotic, man. All the engages, the shuffle from the Azir, the Renata ultimate, the Skarner Impale, these things sort of going one after another, not layered on top of one another, but it makes it really hard to tell which way the fight is swinging.
Yeah, and I will say that Chill Savior and MLG Pro have had pretty clean synergy this game. There've been a lot of great follow-ups on Chill Savior engages, you know, by the Azir. And realistically, I think if they can continue that up, as the Azir starts to scale into the game, we're going to see that come out more and more positive. Looking to start a fight here around this Rift Herald.
Yeah, AFK has started up the Herald, but Elysian now has complete control of the river. They've pushed out AFK's bot lane, excuse me. Now, the AFK is going to secure the Herald, but in the meantime, their bot lane is falling in the jungle, but now Elysian might be sort of trapped in the red side jungle. Duango taking way too much damage, rooted up, stunned down there, falls to Walt as Hotsmore's in a bit of a sticky situation up at the top. Mage just fall to the Zac of the Skarner. No flash on the Aurora. That guy's suppressed. That guy is falling. Ooh, it's a tough fight for AFK.
Yeah, they said, we don't care about this Herald. We're going to take the fight. We're going to get some gold back onto our carries. You know, really picking that Jinx off. Chill Savior going forward, using the Impale. Looks like we have Santa Braum just going to go ahead and take the reset here. Not a lot they can do to defend against taking this tier 1 topside tower.
Yeah, and this is a huge issue. They're going to lose their tier 1 topside. I believe they lost their tier 1 mid lane to Walt as well, right? AFK got the Herald, which is nice, but then the fight was so split. Adrian and Q just sort of caught out in the jungle. Elysian said, hey, we'll take these kills. We'll take a team fight win over the Rift Herald any day. And securing 2 tier 1s off the back of that, huge influx of gold to Elysian. Puts them in a much stronger spot going into this next team fight.
Yeah, Elysian with a 1.6k gold lead. The first real gold lead that they've had this series. And it's very exciting to see that, you know, as we discussed, you know, if Walt... It's a challenge for Walt to get forward in range enough to put out real damage. But, you know, in this last fight, he's really able to kind of free hit uncontested. And you can see the true damage that this Zaya can pump out. You know, now on 2 items, looking to go for that Infinity Edge 3rd item. And if they're not careful, Walt definitely has the potential to take over games.
Yeah, and we'll see if that 3rd item, Power Spike, gets to come in before the fight over this voracious Otacon that is now spawned to the bot side. We saw Ruinous in the first game, but this may be the more common Voracious Otacon in competitive play and organized play like this, as Mordekaiser will take the tier 1 top side, but Otacon spawned on the bot. We'll see if they're looking to push up for it. Franco and Duango fighting in the Death Realm, but Oh, they tried with the Super Mega Death Rocket again. Not quite going to get the kill this time, Zach. A little bit too tanky, but they're pretty coordinated with that combo.
Yeah, that makes me think that they've practiced that. I mean, that is very, very clean. Doing it multiple times. You're going to see this Rift Herald crash through.
Brom, do we want to be there?
Stop it.
The Herald fell too quickly. Blade Caller. Q is caught way out of position between Worlds. Aurora on the flank, but it doesn't matter. The front to back coming in from Elysian is too much. Walt putting in so much damage, pumping it out. That's a double kill from the Xayah. Aurora just forced a recall on the backside. Oh, you can't take that Herald.
No, absolutely. Able to destroy it and kind of kill, get that Braum caught out. We did see the Aurora ultimate really try to block off MLG Pro on this Azir, just able to dash over the wall and get out. I like we said it, Walt's going to struggle to get in close, but he's really been able to do it effectively, and he is pumping out so much damage as they get ready to take this Otacon.
Yeah, 10, 5, and 3 now on the Xayah. Walt with a huge statement performance after a bit of a tragic Varus performance in game 1. Now they're going to claim the Voracious Otacon as well. They get the False Life buff. Now this buff has been changed on the current patch. We are now, I believe, playing on S2020 or 2025.S1.3, I believe, which is the patch where False Life now respawns you after 15 seconds. So it's no longer an instant respawn in the base, but it gives 200 gold to the opponent when you die, and respawns you in 15 seconds. So a bit of a nerf to the Voracious Otacon that was sort of taking over pro play, but we'll see if with this timing they can leverage it into something more.
Yeah, I got to take a look at this play in the mid lane and really see, this unfortunate play by the Braum to kind of push this Rift Herald forward.
Yeah, the Herald's just too low to take it. If the Herald gets popped before it hits the tower, you're completely stuck. He gets dragged back in, rooted up by the Blade Caller. Aurora tries to look for a great flank here, but Walt, we didn't even see it on screen, but that's a Featherstorm flash in from Walt, putting out so much damage, going aggressive, saying, hey, look, I don't care if you flank me. I'm going to go forwards as Franco caught a little bit out, maybe trying to proxy, now stuck in the base as a turret has fallen as well. Adrian going to pick up a kill here, although it is just the False Life. Feels safe to do that as they're pushing down on the bot tier 2, of AFK. That's another turret destroyed, trying to make the most out of this Voracious Otacon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the cool thing about that False Life is it does give him a little bit of, more room to play and make mistakes. Ooh, we got a big fight.
Oh, it does. Chill Savior coming in with the impale, but we'll see Zach jumping into the middle, but he's stunned up. He doesn't have the Otacon buff anymore. Renata ultimate over the top. Oh, it's not looking good for AFK. The damage is coming out from MLG Pro. They're pushing forward. Double kill for the Renata. Young Adrian gonna fall as well. It's 4 for 0 so far. The false lives haven't even been claimed. Dwango trying to get out of the backside. Doesn't quite flash the wall. Oh, it's looking real tough. We'll see. I don't think Elysian can push in to win, but that's a huge team fight win.
Absolutely. That's really what you want to see. Really able to kind of kite backwards, get some space for Walt and MLG Pro to go. Great engages, great CC lockdown, from the Impale and the Zac, and really kind of able to take over that team fight. I will say, it looks like we did get an update. The patch day for 0.3 is actually going to be tomorrow. So we are still on the pre-nerfed False Life, able to get an instant respawn on this current patch.
There you go. Well, it didn't end up mattering in that team fight other than I think Franco, after dying in the base, got to TP in a little bit quicker back to that team fight. Now, Elysian has claimed the bot inhibitor as well, just really opening up the map for themselves, seeing if they can continue with their dragon stacking, if they can move to Baron. It's sort of all theirs as AFK. Gonna have to pull off a bit of a miracle to come back in this one. I think you have to play through the Jinx to do it. You have to try and fight better front to back, but Aurora and Mordekaiser haven't really been able to find any sort of flanks. Walt playing so aggressively in these team fights that, you can't even really flank him. He's in your backline.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love that. Walt essentially playing with no fear, understanding hey, I have to make an impact. We're going to have to put out some damage here. I'm going to have to put this team on my back and kind of push them forward, and then MLG Pro just slowly continuing to scale. Kind of this insurance that as the game gets going, I'm going to make a bigger and bigger impact the longer this game goes on.
Mm-hmm. And we saw his impact on the last team fight. He's really starting to put out damage, and they're going to melt a Baron with his Azir. As we see, they're starting it up. AFK
look at this vision.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's just
Baron is just going down so fast.
Yeah, TPN from the Mordekaiser. We'll see if AFK wants to try and push in and fight on this, but I don't think there's really much they could do. They're going to just look to push in the mid lane, but Elysian sort of sneaks a Baron right out from under AFK's noses.
Yeah, and I love that call when you look at the vision that Elysium has set up in that topside jungle. They knew exactly, that AFK didn't have enough members close. Ooh, looks like that Hosmore's going to get caught a little bit.
Yeah, Chill Savior on the backline. We'll see if he can do anything. Franco diving in between worlds. Not going to put down much damage. Aurora caught out immediately. Renata ultimate over the top, catching everyone impaled just onto the Mordekaiser, stuck in the death throw with the Skarner, but that's another double kill for Walt. Keeps going in. Oh, the pullback is beautiful from the Azir. Walt flashing in for the quadra kill on the Xayah, the most aggressive Xayah play I've ever seen in my life. They're TPing into the bot lane. They're going to look to end this game. Nothing the Mordekaiser could do. MLG Pro going to push down these Nexus turrets. A hero performance, 15, 5, and 6 by Walt on the Xayah. Elysian going to even up this series 1-1.
Absolutely. Great performance by Walt. Great performance by MLG. Chill Savior able to make a great impact. Wanderer able to make a great impact. Definitely a much better all-around performance from Elysian Esports.
Yeah, I'll say, and it really came down to those team fights. I mean, the aggressiveness with which Walt was playing, I really think that, like, the Aurora pick from AFK just ended up kind of doing nothing. He couldn't find flanks. Walt was flashing straight into his team. And the fact that he felt safe enough to flash in those situations is absurd.
Absolutely, and I think it's probably pretty obvious for us and the viewers, but I gotta ask the question anyway. Who are we gonna give MVP of this game to?
Oh, I just think it has to be Walt. 29.1k damage, and in a comeback performance, right? We remember he had some of the least damage in that first game on Varus, so to have the strong enough mental to come back in game 2 and say, no, you know what? It is me who's gonna carry this team. I will win in these team fights. I will outperform. I'm giving it to Walt.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I think that mental aspect of this game is so often overlooked that, the ability that Walt took today to kind of, be taken completely out of game 1, to come back and put on this carry performance, absolute domination by Walt in that mid game. Absolutely incredible. Definitely hands down the MVP of this game for me. And I'm very excited that we get to go to a game 3 here between Elysian Esports and AFK Legion.
Yeah, I agree. And I think drafting this game 3 will be really interesting, right? Do we stick with these team fight comps that we've been playing in this game? Do we try and go back to the split push that worked for AFK so well in the first game, right? It's gonna be interesting to see what they decide to do, if we can get Walt on another hyper carry like this, if we can get him ahead earlier in the game, but I just love a close series.
Absolutely. And the unique thing about Fearless, these champ pools just getting narrower and narrower and narrower. It'll be interesting to see if the bans get changed up at all. We try to want to open up some of those picks to be played. And it'll also be interesting, we look at 80 carries in these pools, we're starting to get a little narrower with what they have left to play. So it'll be interesting to see as we get into this draft for game 3, just how creative our coaches can get to see what team comps we can bring together.
Yeah, I agree. And what I want to see in game 3, I want to see some mid lane agency, right? I don't think the Aurora was the pick. I see how it could work, but in this game, it just didn't pan out. He didn't get the roams. He wasn't able to find those sort of lopsided team fights that they found in game 1, right? So I think if we're going to pick front to back, we need our mid laner there. We need him to be putting out the damage. So we'll see what we get in game 3, but we're going to take another short break right before we're back. The players are in draft right now. We'll see you when they have their champs. All right, welcome back to the Titan Esports Vanquisher League Week 2. We are all tied up 1-1, AFK versus Elysian here. We're going into an exciting Game 3 of Fearless Draft. I hope you all enjoyed our little Guess the Champion there in the break. We were guessing over here in our Discord call. I didn't do great, but no flame, I did a little better than some in chat.
Yeah, chat had a little rough, but no, getting back into Elysian versus AFK, of course, first thing I want to say, I love to see game threes. I love to see back and forth series. The more league, the better, especially as we get into Fearless Draft. I am so excited to see what these coaches can kind of pull out and what creative drafts they're going to pull together as we get into game 3. But man, what a turnaround for Elysian Esports in this game number 2.
Yeah, it was looking rough even early on. I mean, if you saw the gold graph at the end of the game, it was down, 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 and then shot up all the way after one team fight. I think that the mental resilience to come back after a disaster of a game 1 and a tough early game in game 2, now they've got the momentum that we were talking about earlier. They've got the momentum going into this game 3 to sort of close it out. And now the onus is on AFK to pull the trigger and get a comeback going.
Absolutely. And we have to talk about the mental resilience that Walt had after kind of being taken out of game 1, pushing through in game 2, being able to put on a carry performance, and credit to the rest of the team. I mean, the team as a whole, Elysian played very well. Often we hear that the tanks, the more boring aspects of League of Legends don't often get all the credit, but Skarner as well, that jungle pick, played very, very well. Able to get some great engages on. We were worried about the ability to kind of jump on that Jinx in the back line. And Skarner able to prove out and get a couple of great impales to take that Jinx out during the mid game.
Yeah, and we'll see going into draft of game 3. Can they get Walt on another hyper carry, or is the pool a bit too pinched? We're going to have to go a different way. Will the Seraphine finally get through in the draft of this game that we've been waiting to see? I know at least the two of us, we both like that pick, but I think it'll just be interesting. Game 3 is where Fearless really starts to come alive. And, later in the season when we get into best of 5s, it'll really get crazy. But at least for now, I think my prediction is there will end up being, like 1 or 2 roles where the champ pool is really narrowed down and we have to start digging pretty deep.
Yeah, absolutely. There are quite a few 80 carries up when you think about some priority picks. Callista still available, Ashe still available. Depending on which side of the fence you're on, Caitlyn's still a champion that exists. When you think about some more hyper type carries, Zeri, Kog'Maw, both champions that are still open and available. Lulu as a support, that kind of traditional, hyper carry-esque bot lane, still an option for either side. So it is going to be very interesting to see, do the bans change? Do we let different things through to kind of open up our champ pool? Or do we keep the bans the same and just to continue to go down the list with what's available?
Yeah, we'll see. This is where those sort of niche pocket picks really start coming in clutch, right? Things like the Trundle and the Seraphine that you feel have to be banned every game because you're playing into a player who plays it often. It's a really huge advantage to just eat up a ban every game with your one trick.
Absolutely. And, we do see that AFK is going to retake blue side for this game, banning Skarner first right away, knowing they're not going to play it, not going to allow Chill Savior on that champion again.
That's a wasted ban, though. It was already played.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be interesting. It's a great thing to point out. Maybe not realizing the Fearless that we're in. I do want to say I do love the Vi ban. Although I would personally, if I was AFK, I would kind of be interested in playing it myself. The ability to kind of take on Walt and be able to lock him down in fights, especially considering, with Fearless, that Xayah's gone. That traditional anti-dive 80 carry does not exist in this game. So it'll be interesting to see, are we going to get that Seraphine through? Looks like Seraphine is going to be open and available for either AFK or Elysian, both which you have players that play it. So it'll be interesting to see what they prioritize for B1 here.
Yeah, the Seraphine's up, but a lot of the jungle pool is down, right? That's like 5. Yeah, there it is. Seraphine.
There's the Seraphine.
But that's 5.
Yeah.
You could argue 6 if we're counting Mbessa jungle bans in this round alone, right? And they paid the troll toll, they banned the Trundle, means Seraphine gets through. We assume that's going into the bot lane for young Adrian. A bit of a flex, but Maokai on the other side, absolutely a flex pick.
Yeah, and honestly, the more and more I've seen, I really love the ability to kind of flex things around. Seraphine, realistically, obviously we primarily see it and is that kind of that APC type carry, but it can be played in the mid, it can be played as a support. Maokai can be played in multiple roles, jungle, support, top lane. Very exciting to see those things, as we do have Orianna and Ahri picked as the 2 mid laners respectively. Does seem like we're going to get to see that Seraphine push down into the bot lane in either role so far.
Yeah, a bit of a mage matchup. We've got pretty heavy AP on both of these teams so far. Oh, but that's a powerful combination. I hadn't thought about that. Snuck all the way through here. Orianna Nocturne.
Yeah,
right?
The
You
classic
get the ball on the paranoia. It's nice.
Absolutely, the classic combination there. Ooh, we are going to see, it looks like a blind Urgot, what I would assume is Urgot top. I'm going to push this Maokai either into the support role or the jungle role. Definitely interesting to see where they are going to go. We're going to get the Malphite ban from Elysian. Man, so far, I'm really liking AFK's draft. As much as I like an underdog, and I would like to see Elysian make this super competitive, I'm really with AFK on their choices so far.
Yeah, I am too. I know that Franco is an Urgot player. I believe it's his highest mastery. And if you're going to pick it blind, I like the spot you're picking it in, right? You pick it third, you get to ban out some counters, the Malphite, clearly, specifically. And now we're going to start pinching the AD carry pool. Lucian down, Misfortune down, Ezreal down.
Wow.
We'll see what Walt wants to play.
Yeah, definitely limiting your options. But it'll be interesting. I can't imagine picking anything other than AD carry here. Looks like we are going to leave it open.
They disagree. It's Tom Kench.
Wow, this leads me to believe that we're going to see a Maokai jungle. Love the 2v2, the skirmish ability between Ahri and Maokai. A lot of lockdown, a lot of CC. Looks like we are going to get a Smolder as our kind of late game hyper carry out of AFK. Does push that Seraphine into the support role. Will be very interesting to see, kind of what happens here. And Ornn locked in for the top lane. So what answer does Elysium have for Walt here? What AD carry is worth picking R5 in game 3?
I think they need an AD carry that is going to push the early action. Oh, Kog'Maw. Okay, no, they're going to scale up, try and match AFK, but AFK is hyper scaling on this comp, right? We've got Smolder, one of the biggest scalers in the game. We've got Ornn, kind of objectively one of the biggest scalers in the game, right? With those item buffs coming in. Seraphine scales pretty well. But on the other side, for Elysium, we've got some pretty hard engage available pretty early to us, right? As soon as Maokai hits level 6, gets that ultimate, he's going to be looking to gank, looking to make plays around first grubs, around Dragon. We'll see if they can get the playmaking going before AFK scales out of range.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. Elysium has to make things happen in these early skirmishes. If they don't, then AFK is definitely going to scale them out of the game.
Yeah, and we'll see which one comes out on top, as here we go. Game 3 of our series. Just a reminder, this is week 2 of the Vanquisher League. The team that wins this goes up to 2-0 in Group B. The team that loses down to 1-1, so a huge difference, really sets the tone for the rest of the season if you win this game.
Absolutely. Looks like Skylar putting a little bit of pressure, just kind of testing out the waters there. Just a traditional five stack here, kind of spread out, just concerning vision. So got to ask it like we always do ahead of pro comps. Who do you think's got the draft?
I love this AFK draft, and something I'm noticing, right? The Nocturne Orianna combo is a combo that works very well. You need to practice it a bit, right? You got to get the timing right. But I trust that they have. We saw in the last game they had this combo with the Death Realm and the Super Mega Death Rocket, right? That they were executing cleanly. They pulled it off twice. They practice these combos clearly in their scrims, in their solo queue, whatever it is. So I trust that they're going to be able to execute on what is, if you get that combo down, a fairly easy front-to-back comp.
Yeah, absolutely. I would tend to agree with you. I do like AFK's comp a lot. We do have this pushing bot lane with the double range. You have a fairly even mid range, although Ahri is going to see a little bit of pressure earlier on compared to the Orianna. And the Urgot should have a little bit of the push against that Ornn. But, I think ultimately if AFK can kind of mitigate that, wow, they're going to have this a lot closer on pro comps. 50.3% towards AFK. Looks like Franco having a real early trade here on Duango. Huge HP difference. Huge win out on the top side.
Yeah, I will say that might be the argument for Elysium's comp, right? Is you may say, hey, look, but these are just kind of winning lanes, right? Urgot is stomping Ornn here in level 1, now zoning him off of XP, pushing him down into the river, hitting level 2. This is terrible start for Duango. But I'm also looking to see if MLG Pro and this Ahri can get some roams off, right? That was something that in game one really impacted the game with strong early mid lane roams, and Ahri's the champ to do it on.
Absolutely. And as we discussed, Ares should have control over that mid lane for a good portion of this early into the beginning of the mid game. So I agree with you, and I really do want to see, MLG Pro take advantage of this and rotate around to help and kind of really put the nail in the coffin with Chill Savior on these early skirmishes.
Yeah, I completely agree. To see this wave, just a disaster for Dwango. It's pushing away from him now. Only 2 CS at 3 minutes. Now getting zoned off again. Franco just gets to push in, dashing in at him. Oh, this matchup seems miserable.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, if you're Dwango, look at our junglers. Our junglers have both pathed bot side. Peekaboo is not going to be top side to help reset this wave anytime soon.
Yeah, he's just going to have to accept, okay, I'm Ornn. I'm going to outscale. It's going to be a little tough. I'll try to catch XP where I can and hope that my team can carry me through the early game. But that means probably not looking for early fights around the top side if we're AFK, right? We probably weren't anyway, right? Ornn not the strongest early fighter. But grubs and that sort of thing may end up going more in Elysium's favor as we see, the Tom Kench a bit rooted up. Skylar forced to flash out. Peekaboo flashing over with him. Now caught out a little bit, though, as the twisted advance from Chill Savior comes in, knocking back young Adrian. The Smolder so weak in the early levels. Walt now kiting it out on the Kog'Maw. Peekaboo back into the fight. Chill Savior taken quite low. Already blew the flash. Everyone walking out so far. Walt walking up, going to get pushed off by the Orianna. Health bars low on both sides. No kills until now. Franco gets the solo kill on the top side. Dwango falls in this miserable top lane matchup.
Absolutely. And look at him getting that kill, still having the wave pushed back. Dwango going to make an instant TP to really try to reset this wave, but Wanderer's matching right back to it.
Yeah, this is rough getting solo killed like that. I want to talk about the bot fight a little bit more. It was really interesting the way that both junglers actually kind of overextended past the rest of their team in trying to dive a low health member. Neither team caught them, and then everyone was too afraid to keep pushing back in, so it kind of just ended up like, okay, a couple of flashes blown on either side. Importantly, Walt kept his flash up, and young Adrian lost his. This Smolder very vulnerable to ganks in the early game, so we'll have to look around when Maokai hits level 6 if he can look to re-gank the spot lane and claim a kill on the Smolder who's flashless.
Absolutely, and I do think it comes down to when you're looking at these game threes. Ooh, looks like we do have Chill Savior on the top side. Ooh, Dwango able to dash out. Looks like he might just barely escape, but again, this wave still in a very unfavorable position, and now just at even more of a disadvantage. Luckily, Wanderer kind of matching that health, but you got to imagine still not a great pace for Dwango to be in.
Yeah, like it would have been bad if he died there for sure, but like, I don't know, man. He's down 30 CS to 11 and the wave's pushing away from him. Like, it's pretty bad anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, you get to these games and it's everybody wants to be the person that gets their team over the top. You see that Nocturne flash after Skylar, he really wanted to make that. But also, at the same time, everybody wants to be careful. Nobody wants to give it away. Nobody wants the game to get away from them before they have a chance for the game to develop. So it's very interesting to kind of see the mental aspect of it and, when people are really going to pull the trigger and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I think you can see it even just in early game confidence, right? In that first bot lane team fight, Walt walking up pretty aggressively on the Kog'Maw. I will say he is down a bit of CS in this lane. I do think that Kog'Maw Tom Kench probably gets poked out a bit by Seraphine and Smolder, so it's a bit to be expected, but as long as he doesn't go down too far, it should be okay. Seems like there is a pretty traditional grub for Drake trade, as AFK is going to claim the grubs on the top side with Nocturne, and the bot lane of Elysian moving up to claim the Cloud Drake.
Yeah, very interesting. I kind of like this from Elysium, just understanding, looks like Dwango going to be taking off on Wanderer. Just going to get him. That's a huge upset.
Flash. This really turns the matchup around, I would hope, for Dwango. Gets to push the wave in, finally. Gets a little bit of CS. His jungler was there, too. He didn't even need him. Peekaboo was right in the area, but Franco, I guess, just getting a little cocky, not resetting, wanting to freeze the wave in a favorable state. But Ornn does deal a lot of base damage in the early levels. So see, Might be a bit of a play on the bot side. Chill Savior coming in, not level 6 yet, but as we know, no flash on young Adrian. Although he gets dragged into the tower. He went too far with the twisted advance. Q flashed out and dragged him in. Now the 2v2, not looking just as favorable for Elysian.
Yeah, looking at Q, got to give him a lot of credit. Understanding that you need to wait for that animation on Maokai W to go through before you flash, right? Looks like we have him diving in.
Go back in, Skylar. Yeah, it's not going to be quite enough. Didn't hit anyone with a knock-up. Walt takes too much damage. Going to have to sort of back out of the trade. But I completely agree. Great mental awareness from Q, but also just poor target selection from Chill Savior, right? This Smolder has no flash. We should know that. We should be going on the Smolder. Why are we Wing the Seraphine?
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. And, the ability to go in and you have some CC chaining, you have some lockdown there. But like you said, just poor target selection, some great awareness by Q, and they're able to pull out a kill on their side with that gank.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, poor CC chaining. I would have also liked to see maybe waiting on the Tom Kench W until the Maokai route comes in, things like that. But, a failed gank attempt for Elysian, not the end of the world, although the kill does go to Smolder. If you got a Smolder picking up early kills, you're sitting kind of pretty as MLG Pro. This is a couple of CS under the tower there, but still going about even in the lane.
Absolutely. And like you say, the Smolder is continuing to accelerate, maintaining a 23 CS lead. About 3 waves there that young Adrian's going to have on Walt. Unfortunately, not where you want to be when a large portion of your late game damage is going to come from Walt here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was the right idea from Elysian, right? Is, hey, let's put the Smolder behind early. Let's gank him a bunch of times. Let's force action on the bot side, try and get the Smolder behind, but it just hasn't worked out. Adrian sort of outplaying them there, saying, I see it, but I'm going to go up, which is good because his top side, even after that solo kill that Dwango got, still losing by about 30 CS.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do, as we see the, Peekaboo, obviously level 6 now. I am very interested as we get to some of these skirmishes that are about to come up, 2.5 minutes on this dragon, Grub's getting ready to spawn. It'll be interesting to see when they're ready to pull this trigger and really see if they can start to eliminate targets with this combination.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I'd like to see even maybe is looking to use that Nocturne ultimate, blow a couple of flashes before the fights, but here we go. Nature's Grass coming in for the Maokai. Paranoia on the backside, though, as Peekaboo goes right in. Mom coming down, charmed up by the Seraphine. This is not going the way Elysian wanted it to. Skylar flashing out. Peekaboo flashing in, but taking very low. Chill Savior might just get the return kill. Flashing in as well. Peekaboo falls. Skylar falls. Chill Savior cut down as well. Even more kills to the Seraphine and the Smolder.
Yeah, it looks like Skylar and Walt kind of misread that team fight, eating and then kind of progressing forward towards the side of AFK Gaming, thinking they were going to turn this fighter out, realizing they didn't have the damage, and then it just being too late.
Yeah, I think they thought they had the engage on Elysian, right? They're dropping the Maokai ultimate. They're going in on him, but the Paranoia from Nocturne coming in over the top just sort of makes the fight a bit disjointed. They weren't maybe ready for the counter gank there, and it cost them.
Absolutely. This is not where you want to be on the side of Elysium. These early skirmishes are where you need to have the power, where you're slightly ahead. This is where you need to make an impact. And if you can't do this, the game's just going to get harder and harder.
Yeah, important to note also that Q was level 6 in that fight and did get to use the ultimate. Skylar was not, right? Couldn't eat the Maokai out of a situation, couldn't maybe eat the Smolder and bring him back into the team, was just a bit less effective than the Seraphine hitting the 2-man charm there, right? Although Skylar has now gotten the bot prio roamed up. They are going to look to claim the second set of grubs on the side of Elysium. It'll be 3-3, but they may end up giving the dragon over to AFK.
Yeah, I do like this quick decision making. Just saying, hey, we need to make something happen. We need to make sure we're not getting behind. Let's commit to this. And I do like to see Ornn committing that ult. Just wanting to make sure he gets the wave crash so that he can reset and try not to be so behind in this laning phase.
Yeah, look, when you have a hard-winning top side like this, you play for grubs. It's just what you do. It makes sense. And you don't want to give the other team 6 grubs, so 3-3 on the grubs. AFK has again, I believe, maybe in all of these games, claimed the feat of warfare with the first 3 kills, making it much easier for them to get feats of strength if they can pick up another couple of objectives. They're now positioning themselves in the spot river, looking to take the dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. And something we'll notice too, you gotta give credit to Hot S'mores for having that bot wave prio pushed in, being able to rotate ahead of MLG Pro. But it looks like AFK not quite ready to take this fight outright.
Yeah, they're not quite starting it. I think they might be worried about the Maokai engage, right? Nature's Grasp over the top can retake an area pretty quickly, and you see the power of the Maokai now. These saplings and the brushes, he can take or retake vision control of an area so quickly. These wards are looking red where they used to look blue. Walt is now pushed in the mid lane. No one to catch it from AFK. The Dragon Prio has switched all the way around to Elysian.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can get a spectator toggle on vision, but the vision control that Elysium has on that bot side river is, it really disincentivizes AFK to try to make any plays there. Oh,
Shockwave onto Chill Savior. Maokai rooted up, stunned up, drops the Nature's Grasp though. Seraphine ultimate over the top as we'll see Maokai falls first, but now we'll see if Elysian can get anything more. Ahri dashing into the backside, not quite able to pick up Hot Spores, living with just a couple of health. Peekaboo does fall though. Mom over the top, Tom Kench diving in. We'll see if the Seraphine can live this young Adrian. Blast coning in, that's not where you want to be. MLG Pro flashing in, Wander Franco flashing in. He picks up 1 kill, but Elysian with a huge team fight win, shutting down the Smolder.
Yeah, that Ahri flash charm, really giving the opportunity and saying, no, we got to lock this young Adrian down. He's going to be the person we've got to take out to win the fight, ends up going over and trading, but it does allow Elysium here to go ahead and pick up that extra objective. And I really like the idea of Elysium to say, you know what, we are going to get outscaled. We're going to really try to force and stack these dragons to give us that little extra push as the game goes on to try to keep up with it.
Yeah, another great thing about the way that Elysian controlled the vision there is it didn't really allow Dwango a TP angle, right? He had TP up for that whole fight, but it ended up being a 5v4 as he just couldn't find a good ward to TP to.
Yeah, like I said, I love pointing out the vision. You got to give credit to Elysium. That entire bot side is 100% controlled by them. That was just everything they wanted, and it really gave them that extra opportunity to find that team fight win.
Yeah, and that's a huge advantage for them now too, right? Because they've now picked up 2 Drakes, dragon stacking in favor of them. The Grubs are even. They got the first feat for objectives. Now it's entirely down to first tower to see who gets these feats of strength. So well played to Elysian as Franco dashing in on the Orianna in the mid lane here. I don't think he's going to get much done.
Yeah, and they are down, you look at AFK about 1k gold up, but like you said, those 2 dragons, you figure 300 to 500 gold a piece and stats for dragons, and it really kind of puts that gold a lot more even than what the numbers say. So I'm very excited to see kind of how they continue to prioritize that. And if I'm Elysium, all of my focus is going to be getting on Soul Point.
Oh yeah, completely. But as we see, yeah, the gold distribution, very important here, as a lot of the gold for Elysian is up at the top side on the Urgot, and almost all of the gold for AFK, at least gold advantage, is down on that bot side, is in young Adrian. So protecting him in these team fights is going to be the name of the game, which can be a little hard when a lot of your team comp wants to go in, right? Nocturne ulting over the top. You want to dive the backline, so Smolder may be kind of left to self-peel.
Absolutely. Oh, gets the knockup from Skylar. Young Adrian flashing away.
Oh, flash eat from Tom Kedge, spitting him right back out. Skylar slaying young Adrian. Nature's Grasp over the top. We'll see if they can catch the Seraphine out as well. Nocturne with a nice spell shield, gonna block the Q. The Bramble Smash from Maokai is now a TP in from Hot Spores behind them. We'll see flash in. Shockwave finds 2. Huge play from Hot Spores as they're gonna clean up what looked like a good pick from the start. MLG Pro in there now. We'll see if the Ahri can clean up. Dashing all over him. Dashing in the middle of 2. Hot Spores taken low. No ulti left. MLG Pro picks up 2. MLG Pro picks up 3. Almost claiming Peekaboo, not quite yet. 1 more dash should do it. MLG Pro shuts them down. A great roam down from the Ahri to save, otherwise a disaster play.
Absolutely. MLG Pro coming in clutch there, really able to clean up that fight. Unfortunately, not able to peel for Walt, but picking up those kills at the end, going to be a great benefit, and able to, as you said, that gold distribution, going to be able to bring some of that back towards that middle and bot lane.
Yeah, what a crazy swingy fight too, right? Started with a great flash eat from Skylar, right? Catching out young Adrian just after he burned the flash. Looked like an easy pick. Maybe everyone was going to get to disengage, but an Orianna TP flank and a great shockwave swings the fight back to AFK, and it looked kind of hopeless for MLG Pro, kind of coming in 1v3 to clean it up, but he picks up 3 easy kills.
Yeah, I think it's that, the Maokai kind of, jumping in. I think we're getting a replay here. Yeah, we'll see as young Adrian, gonna get knocked up here.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this happened. Oh, he gets cued from the brush, gets slowed,
just on the edge.
Oh, yeah, that's so close. Flashes out as soon as he's exhausted, but then, boom, flash, eat, dead immediately. And this fight looks so good for Elysian at the start.
Well, if I'm Elysian, you just want to get out. Like,
yep.
We're kind of overcommitting here, and that's what allows this TP flank to come in. And a beautiful shockwave, like you said, really allowing Hot S'mores to kind of turn that fight. Luckily, MLG Pro kind of comes down and saves Elysium. This could have been a complete disaster otherwise.
Yeah, and it's funny, you watch him miss, he's dodging in, he's sort of missing the charms. I didn't see the Kog'Maw passive actually when ended up claiming Hot S'mores there, but it just doesn't matter. Ari, full health, a lot of mana, has the ulti up, can clean up that fight pretty easy as, I believe, as we're back on live, Maokai up there, potentially hitting the Herald in the top side. We got a TP from Wander Franco down to the bot side. Yes, the red team has now defeated the Rift. Herald will try to use that maybe to crack the first tier 1 tower if they can, but now 3v2 in the bot lane. These lane assignments are a little wonky.
Absolutely. You've got Maokai kind of covering top, although it does look like Franco's
Oh, no.
go back.
Yeah, he's dropping the Herald. He wants to see if he can get tier 1 tower before Ornn can. I think Dwango is trying to push for it. We'll see. Yeah, Red Team gets the first one with the Herald, but here we go. Paranoia over the top. Peekaboo coming into the bot side. Ooh, they're all charmed up. Huge 3-man play. Lots of damage. Hot S'mores in here. Shockwave. Oh, doesn't kill Franco somehow. They're out of there. We'll see if Hot S'mores can get in there. Slowed up a bit. Not enough damage. I think he's just going to fall. He kills Walt, but that's not a good play.
No, able to trade it back. And something to be interesting, you see that damage coming out. I'd love to see what our stacks on Smolder are here. You know, Smolder is obviously, as he continues through the game, that passive that he's going to have. You know, we're above 125 at this point, getting those 3 extra fireballs to kind of come out the back. But, you know, like you said, as this game continues to scale on, the tools and the damage that AFK, you know, is going to have is just going to get better and better and better.
It should be said also, in the middle of that fight, MLG Pro on the top side did solo kill Dwango on the Ornn. So another kill to the Ahri. This Ahri is looking like a monster as we enter this mid game.
Absolutely. It does look like our Smolder sitting on 166 stacks currently. You know, definitely by this 25-minute mark, he should be getting that 225, and we'll start to see that execute come forward. And, you know, if you're not able to lock down this Smolder, it's going to be hard. You know, as these fights go extended, the Smolder damage. Oh, we do have Mom coming through on this dragon.
Yeah, Mom over the top. They don't want to give up the third dragon to Elysian, but it looks like they're just going to claim it before anything else gets to happen. Maokai ult over the top makes it so hard for AFK to come in. That's 3 dragons to Elysian. Strong place to be.
Absolutely. This is exactly what I want to see from Elysian. They prioritize those drags. They say, hey, you know we've had all these fights. We've been back and forth, but this is our priority. We understand how we have to win this game. You know, we understand what our tools are, and we're going to commit to those. And the Nature's Grasp on Maokai, such an amazing tool to control the zone. And in that case, just say, hey, you have no way into this. We're going to take this drag. You weren't here before. This is ours.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you need, right? Maybe if we're going to outscale the Smolder as we get it. Wow, Franco with a solo kill on Hot S'mores in the bot lane. No idea how that happened. Orianna had flash up and everything. Just getting caught out of position a bit by the Urgot there as we see Voracious Otacon again has spawned in the bot lane. Smolder 180 stacks now at 20 minutes, climbing ever closer to that 225 break point. But the Voracious Otacon spawning in the bot lane, it will be the false life buff to the team that claims him once again as, wow, Elysian's just going to start it. They say, hey, Orianna's dead. We can take this.
Yeah, that pick, unfortunately, opening up a window here. It does have TP, but, you know, if you're AFK here, how do you walk in? You know, this Ornn going to look into this bush, getting hit by the sapling, but...
You got to get Call of the Forge God over the top, as we're seeing right here. Otacon does burn a lot of resistances off of Elysian, so if you want to take a team fight as AFK, you got to do it now. Seraphine ult over the top, Paranoia coming in. Huge shockwave! They're all withdrawing. Elysian claims the Otacon, but they're all going to fall immediately. 5 for nothing in terms of the withdraws. AFK gets some gold in their pockets, negates the Otacon buff, but that could have been much worse.
Absolutely, and this is exactly what we're talking. When is it okay to pull the trigger? Call of the Forge God, you know, it only hits Walt, but it opens up an option for Paranoia into Shockwave, and just an absolutely amazing combo. Great timing by Hot S'mores and Peekaboo.
Do that every team fight, please.
Absolutely.
If you do that every team fight, you're winning this game. As we'll see, MLG Pro Flash again finds the charm on the Q. Nature's Grasp over the top. That's a dead Seraphine. We'll see if Dwango can get out. W to delay the root, but charmed up. He's going to fall. MLG Pro on a rampage. This is the issue with the Otacon buff. It's so strong. You get 5 for 0 aced in a team fight like that. You're back out on the map immediately. They've used all their cooldowns. Elysian hadn't used anything. They get to just walk back out on the map full tempo and claim a mid-tier 1, claim a couple of kills. That buff is so strong. Another charm under the Nocturne. MLG Pro takes a lot of damage, dishing a lot out too. Chill Savior going in, not quite able to find Peekaboo, but another blue tower destroyed on the bot side.
I love this pressure by Elysium. They're really not giving AFK the chance to have any setup here. And I love that. They've got to keep the pressure forward. They said, we know that the longer this game goes, the harder it's going to be for us. So we're going to keep the pressure up. We're going to make you answer us. And we're not going to give you a chance to get there.
Yeah. But again, like, yes, this is mostly just due to Otacon tempo, what's happened right here, right? They get back out on the map. They can claim whatever they want. But I want to see AFK taking 5v5 team fights, especially around this next dragon coming up in about a minute and a half. I want to see them taking a team fight in that exact same way, right? I want to see Paranoia and Shockwave layered together with the Ornn CC. It's so oppressive if you're hitting all those abilities.
Absolutely. And I think, Otacon again, I think we know the nerf is incoming, but the power of it, look at the vision control that Elysium has already taken over a minute and a half out from this soul, ocean soul that they're going to be fighting over. Love to see that.
Yeah, and we'll see if Smolder can get closer to that break point. There's always a chance where, like, if you don't have your stacks before the fight, you can get your stacks mid-fight, right? You stack up a lot quicker in a fight sometimes than you do in lane, but getting gotta be pretty close at this point. The soul up now in a minute as we see Elysian pushing into this bot side river, trying to set up the vision, trying to make sure that they can claim the soul point without a contest.
Yeah, something I want to take a look at here is the summoner spells. We look as we get into the soul fight. It's going to be a huge kind of indication of how the game's going to go, right? You look at Q, not going to have their flash up. Hot S'mores is going to be very close, but not going to have their flash up as Dragon spawns. But on the same side, Skylar not going to have their flash up. MLG Pro, the couple of flash charms that they've had, not going to have their flash up. So it's very interesting. A couple of these key pieces without flash, although Walt and Young Adrian both have their flashes up, both have the ability to kind of self-peel in that sense. So it'll be interesting. But Elysium already inside that jungle, kind of being ready and preparing for this Ocean Soul Drag.
Yeah, I mean, AFK is just going to struggle to walk in here. All these Maokai saplings, really good setup from Elysian. This is what you want to do as Maokai. And look, Wander Franco actually pushing the top side. This is so great from Elysian. It's soul point for you. You can push whatever you want. Looks like they've caught out MLG Pro on the bot side, though. That Dragon's going to go straight to AFK. Nothing you can do to contest. Ari tries to find the flank, but just a little disjointed. Great pull on the trigger from Peekaboo and Dwango.
Yeah, definitely kind of a miss. It looks like the Nature Stress coming in, maybe attempting to find a fight or just delay backs and allow Wanderer to kind of push this tower and really get something extra on the top side.
Yeah, I think that's got to be what it is. They're just trying to stop them from backing, see if he can maybe get an inhib tower off this as well. Skylar diving in way too far. What are we doing, buddy? That Smolder has the stacks. You cannot be going in that far. You're not stopping anyone's backs but your own, getting a quick recall to the base.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a misplay there. Same with MLG Pro. Definitely, yes, Ari has that evasiveness with her ultimate, but unfortunately, just kind of a misstep, and they have bought AFK another 5 minutes to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge breath of fresh air for AFK, right? You win the team fight. Yes, you lose a couple of towers on the top side. That is a really good heads-up play from Franco, right? Saying, hey, look, it's our soul point. I could push another objective because you guys have to be here. We don't. But Smolder's hit his stacks now, right? You denied the soul. Smolder's hit his stacks. You're really strong in this team fights as we see an Ornn upgrade coming in for Young Adrian there as well. I assume it's on the Infinity Edge. So really, we're starting to spike. AFK might be scaling a little out of range of Elysian pretty soon if they don't act fast.
Yeah, and as the game goes on, I mean, the gold lead only 2,000 gold in favor of Elysium, and as the game goes on, that gold becomes less effective. Ooh, looks like on a ward here.
Ooh, almost caught out. Good spell shield on the charm. Gets out just barely. Walt flashing in. Not sure what that is. MLG Pro, though, dashing and cleans up the kill again. Walt walking up pretty aggressively. Really good damage in there. Peekaboo just caught out on a ward.
Yeah, with that jungler out, this opens up the Baron very, very effectively. And if you're AFK, there's really nothing you can do. You kind of just have to reset, get some vision in the base part of your jungle so you can walk out of base, but it's going to be very difficult for them to contest this.
Yeah, this is a pretty impossible contest. Q on the Seraphine had to go walk all the way back to base as well. But we see Call of the Forge God. They're going to try to contest it. Mom already came over the top. Nature's Grasp stunning up the Ornn and the Baron dropping real low. No way Young Agent can get into the pit. Dwango charmed up, has to flash out. Baron still at about 3k, hasn't gone down yet. Franco flashes in. Fear Beyond Death going to claim 2 kills with that real quick on the Urgot. Push it in. They got the Baron as well. Huge turnaround for Elysian.
Absolutely, and Franco just really taking over there, getting a couple of kills. And again, just unfortunately, I think AFK just needed to give that. They just made it much worse for themselves.
Yeah, I get trying to contest it, but like you're right, your jungler's dead, your support had to walk all the way back to base. Orianna split up trying to push the mid wave, right? We just have to give it, but instead they get sort of caught on a flank by the Urgot, a beautiful ult flash in to fear the Smolder, and Elysian's gold lead push it up to the point where maybe they can outscale a Smolder.
Absolutely. I think they put themselves in a very, very great position here to look for Soul. And I think Soul, dashing forward, not quite able to land the charm, but I love the look. I love the look.
Yeah, MLG Pro getting aggressive on the Aura here as you see he's hit 3 items and upgraded boots really strong. He's just going to be one-shotting people. So he says, hey, I could dash in, I could look for this. He gets chunked. I don't care. He's just going to TP right back in as they're trying to siege this tier 2 tower in the mid. Not quite working, but Franco, this is a 4-1 though. Urgot on the bot side trying to claim a tier 2 of his own.
Absolutely. And if you're Elysium, you really want to keep the pressure on this mid bot side. You want to make sure that you can control the vision when it comes to this drag.
Yeah, the dragon spawning in about a minute and a half. Baron will run out at around the same time, but it's going to be real hard for AFK to contest. Their towers are going to get pushed down even more by this Baron, right? So you see Franco still pushing into the bot side. They're sieging slowly but surely in the mid lane. They might want to look for one more reset before this dragon fight, see if they can get a 3-item spike for Walt, but probably not. I think they're just going to hope that this mid pressure is enough for them to get this soul point relatively uncontested. But if you're AFK, I think this is the final chance. You have to fight around this dragon and you have to win it.
Absolutely. If I'm Elysium, I actually don't like taking a reset here. I want to use this Baron and its full effectiveness and get these towers and then use that pressure to kind of, create space and get vision for this drag. Looks like we are going to have MLG Pro taking a reset, but with Skylar still having 3 full wards, I want to see him use those and get this vision. Looks like they're going to rotate towards the bot side here. Little pressure onto Duango.
Yeah, seeing if they can catch him out. They're just going to claim the bot tier 2 instead. So look at that level lead. 3 levels up in the top lane for Franco's. Here comes the Paranoia coming in. Hasn't gone in quite yet. There he goes. In on the backside. Hots Warzo caught up by MLG Pro at the top. Peekaboo pulled into the grinder. Fear beyond death there. All feared up over the back. Smolder's down. Nocturne's down. Ornn going to fall right after. This might just be the game for Elysian. Baron hasn't run out quite yet, but 2 for nothing. They're at least getting soul.
Yeah, absolutely. Urgot kind of taking over that fight, the fear. A couple of really well-timed flashes to get out from death. And, something we see that Hostors was completely cut off that fight from MLG Pro. Just absolutely unable to be interactive, not able to get that Paranoia Shockwave combo that we've talked about.
Yeah, Elysian pushing in all the way up to the inhib. Not quite kind of having enough firepower to end the game here. They're going to back off, head back towards that soul. Should be an uncontested Ocean Soul for Elysian. And you're completely right. I actually credit that team fight a lot to MLG Pro. He found the Orianna on the side, solo killed and kept him out of that fight. Nocturne, much less effective diving into an Urgot and a Maokai if he doesn't have that Shockwave on top of him.
Yeah, absolutely. The combo you want. And it was a great look. Call of the Forge God came down. You have the Seraphine ultimate coming down over top. I love the look. I love the fact that they tried to pull that trigger, but unfortunately, just not keeping a bead on MLG Pro took Hot S'mores out of that, and you took a big part of your damage out of that combo.
Yeah, and look at the way that Franco's itemizing. I love this. He says, look, I'm so far ahead. I'm just going to build tanky. You cannot kill me. He's up 3 levels over the Ornn in the top lane. 7, 1, and 0. Huge shutdown on him, but I got to be honest, I don't think he's dying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jock shows, Sterix Gauge, the upgraded boost that we have, the shield that's going to give you, Merc Treads, the upgraded Merc Treads giving you that magic shield. Like you said, he is going to be one tough person to kill.
I'm going to flex a little knowledge here. You ready? Chain-laced crushers.
Oh, the upgraded boot name. Love it. Love it.
I buy them a lot. But yeah, he's picked up a Shojin now as well. This is a full bruiser build on the Urgot. Level 18. 2 levels up over anyone else in the game, right? The next closest level 16 on the mid laners. As Elysian free reign on the map. Look at all that vision that AFK just does not have.
Yeah, and when you're AFK here, you can't walk in. I mean, if you don't have vision, you cannot walk in here. Even as Ornn, you've got something like Urgot and Maokai. There's enough CC that they can kind of pop you down. You look at the build that we have here on Walt. Walt is shredding through those tanks. Walt has no issues getting able to free hit and take down champions like this Ornn very quickly.
Yeah, but this is redemption from game 1 for Wander Franco, right? He lost so hard to that Tryndamere that he said, hey, look, I can play an aggressive lane too. I can translate an aggressive lane lead into a game victory for my team.
Absolutely. And I love the macro here from Elysium. They said, our bot wave is pushing. Our bot wave is going to push without us. We are going to keep the pressure on this top and mid lanes and just wait for this Baron to spawn.
Yeah, Baron up in about 30 seconds. Elysian should be able to just walk back through that topside jungle and claim it. AFK, absolutely no vision, not a single ward in this blue side jungle. How are they supposed to walk into this? How are they supposed to contest?
Yeah, if you're AFK, you really got to push through the mid lane. You need to push through, and then, Ornn's going to have to face check. You're going to have to walk in as a team. And then we've got to see, some of these blue wards come out from the side of AFK Legion.
Yeah, but look at this flank from MLG Pro playing exactly the way he has been in all of these fights. He's been so effective on the flank on this Ahri, just picking off whoever he could find, keeping them out of the fight, splitting up and making it chaotic, right? Elysian wins fights when they're chaotic, the front to back. If the gold lead wasn't this intense, would go to AFK. But yeah, that's an uncontested Baron to Elysian. AFK saying, look, I don't know, we'll make one final contest in the base, and we can't fight you with this Baron.
Yeah, and I think the big thing there is that inhibitor play that they made. That bot lanes, they said, hey, Baron's up, but you have to answer. These super minions are going to be knocking on your door if you don't rotate to this. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and as we said before, Smolder has hit his stacks. He has scaled up, but even he is 2 levels down versus his lane opponent, right? He just can't get the damage out. These team fights are not front to back in that way. These team fights are explosive, and they're over before Smolder has a chance to really proc executes on more than maybe one member.
Absolutely. And if you're Elysium, you want to push to end the game here. You do not want to give them any opportunity to continue to get gold. Smolder not even quite on 4 items. You have the same thing for your Orianna, not quite there. You're going to use this Baron. You want to split your team up, and you want to get the pressure in now. If I'm Elysium, I'm going to go mid top. I'm going to let my bot lane continue to push in by itself. I'm going to pressure these 2 lanes and say, hey, you can't answer all 3 of these at the same time. So make your choice.
Yep, they got 2 minutes left on Baron to see if they can do it. I'm looking for a Maokai engage of some kind. I'm looking for a Urgot split push all the way into the base. AFK trying to figure out where and how they're going to make their last stand. Who's going to be the one to engage? But Dwango charmed up, takes almost all of his health in just one brief trade, forced back. They're going to lose their mid-in hit for that for sure. Pushing into the top side too. This Urgot going to take the tier 3 on the top. It's looking pretty doomed for AFK. It's now or never. You got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, if you're Dwango, that just opens up the base. You have nobody to stand in front. What's AFK supposed to do?
Flash charm from MLG Pro. One taps the Seraphine Nature's Grasp over the top. MLG Pro is out. Huge shockwave from Hot S'more's mom over the top, though. Health bar's looking a little low for Elysian. We'll see, can the smoke do it? The fear beyond death. Wander Franco has been carrying this game from the start. The Urgot flashes in. He dashes in with a double kill, and Elysian will take the series 2-1.
Absolutely incredible play there at the end. Flash forward by MLG Pro. The flash ultimate fear from Wander Franco. Absolutely incredible. I love to see this. Elysian Esports kind of getting dominated in game 1, coming back and winning a close game 2, coming back and kind of, with a team that AFK's team comp, very easy to execute in the sense of we know exactly what we want to do. We want to push these into this team fight, and then being able to come out on top, really pushing that lead on the top side with Wanderer and extending it to the rest of the team. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some ups and some downs, but Wander Franco translating what was a huge lane advantage into pushing lanes all over the map. MLG Pro with these great roams, finding picks on the flanks, just miles better than what we saw from them in game 1. So impressed with the amount of improvement they had over the course of the series. And we could see Smolder did the most damage, but it just doesn't matter at all. That Ornn 9.7k, pretty ineffectual in this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I do have to ask, I think there's a good argument to talk about here. When we think about the player that had the most impact on this game, do we look at Wander Franco and the lead that he was able to translate and kind of put that Ornn really out of the game? Or do we look at the impact that MLG Pro had, the picks that they were able to take, the flash charms, the ability to kind of zone off this Orianna in those team fights and eliminate their combo? I mean, I think it's a toss-up. I think both are great choices.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, you're so right. The TP flank and that bot fight that MLG Pro had on the Ahri, cleaning up 3 kills there, was a huge swing for the game. But I think I have to give it to Franco. I mean, such a dominant performance in that top lane, zoning him off. He was level 5 to level 2 at one point, up 30 plus CS, up 3 levels there at the end of the game. And he never lost his advantage, right? He never got too hyphy. He never gave over a shutdown. He was effective in the fights. He found flanks, got ults onto good targets, flashed in to get the fears. I'm giving it to Wander Franco.
Absolutely, I think that's a great choice. Like you said, he really did. And I love seeing the evolution of players throughout a series. Right, you see that game one played singed. He kind of got taken over. He didn't play terrible in that game. He didn't like get crushed in lane, but really couldn't do anything about the Tryndamere as the game went on. Right, really couldn't do anything. And then we get into game two. He dominates lane against the Zac, but again, he kind of get into those team fights and things, and he was not able to really make that big of an impact to help the team. And then we get to game three. Holy cow, game three. Game three, he absolutely dominates lane. He absolutely crushes his opponent and then takes that lead and transfers it and is able to make a huge impact in those team fights. So I would absolutely have to give it to Wander Franco as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the whole team playing really on the whole so good on the day. Elysian Esports now goes up to 2-0 in Group B, which is going to put them up towards the top of the standings heading into week 3. That's a big statement win, but look, these teams are definitely close. All of these games were back and forth, sort of up and down. This is a close match, and I hope we get to see it again come playoffs.
Absolutely. I do like you said, there was a couple of key moments in each game really that kind of said, oh, wow, the game just turned. The game just switched. In this game, like you said, that rotation by MLG Pro on the Ahri to that bot lane to kind of clean up after what was an amazing TP flank and an amazing Orianna Shockwave. The ability to kind of recover from that, keep your mental, hang on, win that team fight, and then continue that momentum was absolutely great. So I am very excited to see, when these teams get to link up again later in the split and see what they're going to do next.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if you're AFK, you could go out of the series head held high, right? They played well. That game one was very strong. We saw like glimpses of greatness in that one team fight where they really executed their front to back here in game 3. They're a strong team. If they can look to maybe be a little more proactive on the map, like get those winning lanes converting into advantages, they can really do some damage in this group.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Peekaboo and Q in that game one, super on the same page, absolutely nailed it. We're able to pull the trigger effectively together, and then we kind of got away from that in games 2 and 3. So if I'm AFK Legion, I want to re-examine that relationship between our support and jungler and use that as a layout for moving forward.
Absolutely. We'll have to see what happens again. Elysian goes up 2-0. Or 2-0, in the group. AFK goes down 1-1, but that'll do it from us. Again, I'm Mojo Powell. That's Leslie. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.